Our grantees come from different areas of the state, but they also come with different focus points. And I'm really excited for all of you to get to know one another and get to understand one another's work and have this networking opportunity. In that it is an innovation grant, we get to be a little flexible with our data, which I think is fun. Of course, we want those quantitative data pieces, but we want some qualitative data. We want to know what is transformational, and that's sometimes hard to find in the numbers. So keep that in mind. We want to hear those transformational stories. We want to hear those lessons learned. We want to understand more about the crossroads of your program management. And certainly we want the quantitative data to send to the appropriate funders. However, keep in mind that we want to know what your aha moments are in your program management, and we want to build capacity with one another so that we are a learning community. We do have our first learning community set up in September. However, at large, how do we continue the learning, and how do we continue to teach and share and coach and get this information into the greater public? A lot of you have excellent social media outlets. I know Allied Health does. I know Metro Coalition. I've seen y'all's stuff. AIM High Tennessee, I've seen y'all's stuff. And social media, not everybody loves it. Not everybody's on it, and that's okay. But it is a way to transmit information, and I think that is important in the work that we're doing together. So again, I'm really happy to be part of this. I'm happy that Department of Children's Services is serving over this innovation grant, and that we are able to disseminate this. Of course, DCS, we are one of the most, we serve people from hard places, right? And the hardest of the hard places. So the work you're doing is so important for our community at Department of Children's Services and for our staff, because our staff are in the hardest of hard places, and their well-being is important as well, as is yours, because that's what we're all coming from hard places, or we have an understanding of that. So with that, I am very excited, and I got to meet everyone. We had a nice virtual meeting with each of you in the past few weeks, so it was great to meet you online and hear about your programs. And our first recipient today is from the Shelby Student Equity Enrollment and Discipline, the SEED program. Yes, ma'am. And with that, we have Ms. Colette Parks. Right. Awesome. And she will be presenting today. This is for. Okay, let's get that. Yeah, me too. So, a virtual applause for Ms. Colette Parks. Yes. Awesome.
I'm just going to adjust the camera a little bit because you're taller.
I am.
There you go. And there you go. And down is up. Down is up. I mean, down is forward.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Excited about going first. How about that? My name is Colette Parks, and as stated, I'm from Memphis Shelby County School District. Excited to be here today. We are excited, so excited. When we got the news that we were receiving the grant, we was excited to continue this work. I too worked on with the Building Strong Brains. We started the trauma intensive parenting, where we went out and we trained over 5,000 parents in our district, educating them on adverse childhood experiences, getting a lot of feedback with that. And so now we are able to continue to work, even though it changed a little bit, we were able to continue to work. Dr. Angela Hargrave is the Executive Director in the SEED department, and SEED is an acronym that stands for Student Equity Enrollment Discipline, it's the Discipline Department. And Roletta Williams, she is the SEL Manager. At the Memphis Shelby County School District, we have a whole team of people that we work around, all the work that's around social emotional learning. So we were really excited. We started back, we came to Nashville in the 2018-19 school year. We went through the whole training, building strong brains, and we've been working and ever since, just trying to get the educating all our parents, all the anybody who come in contact with students. They have gone through and had the whole ACEs training. And so that was one thing our former superintendent, he wanted anybody that came in contact with a student to go through the ACEs. And we trained in one day before school started. We trained every teacher, every school psychologist, social worker, anybody to work with children, they had to go through that training. We even went through and trained anybody, like the people who worked in electricians, the plumbers, everybody. So everybody was ACE trained. And so in that effort, Memphis Shelby County School, we were committed to changing policy. So policy 6022 was changed. It was changed to address making sure that there was a multi-tier system of support put in place to support our students' social, emotional needs. So once again, continuing to do that. And we wanted to make sure that accountability is still part. I mean, accountability, but also understanding the traumatic backgrounds that our children come in. So keeping that in mind as we, as discipline actions are placed on students, making sure that we are not punitive in nature, but making sure we're understanding all our babies as we work with them. All right, so Memphis Shelby County Schools SEL support. So what do we have? Well, one of the things we put in place is the Rethink. Rethink is a SEL curriculum that we have, and all students in grades K through 12, every week they have a lesson. We have all these different lessons that's put in place to work with our students. So every week, every school, every student will receive lessons centered around their social emotional needs. All right. And then we also put in place reset. Guys, we have reset rooms in our schools, in the majority of our schools, not all schools. One of the things we're working on there, of course, there's always challenges with things, but one of the things is keeping them staffed. So we're working on that. And so that's one of my jobs as an SEL advisor in the district. I oversee multiple schools, and I go in just making sure the reset assistant has exactly what he or she needs in order to provide support for our students. So we have reset rooms, and in those rooms, when we have students, so in the past, if a kid have an outburst, a kid have a meltdown, or have a hard time dealing with whatever experiences they may be dealing with, oftentimes what happened to those kids? If the counsel wasn't available, if the administrator didn't have an opportunity to stop and work with them, those students oftentimes went home. You got to go. We're here to educate our children. That's what we're here for. We don't have time for that. But we have reset rooms, and their kids are able to come into the reset room. There's a trained reset assistant who will go through and basically listen to the kids, give that child strategies to help them cope with whatever is going on. It's a chance for them to get reset and enter back into the classrooms, which has been a beautiful success. We get feedback from parents all the time, just saying, thank you for having Mr. Jones in the class, in the reset room. My child loves him, or, whoever it is that's in there. But the reset room is there to help our children. Another way we support our kids is through Restore. And Restore is these events happen after school. We have SEL supports, and that's for our young people who, whether it's a school teacher or it's a parent or even administrator, they may say, we think that Johnny would benefit if he had someone to work with him on some specific strategies that he's struggling with. And so they come into the supports after school. We have parents from all over our district, and they're dropping their children off after school. And we have people who've been trained, that's working with these children to give them the supports that they need, give them the strategies. And those aha moments you're talking about, these kids learning how to deal with their anger, when they become upset, when they become frustrated, giving them strategies to help them deal with it. Because some of these kids, they have never heard of it. They didn't know. Anger is the only thing I know, and I'm going to strike when I get upset. but we're actually building our students' language and give them vocabulary to express when they become frustrated, give them strategies to use. It could be something as simple as stopping and breathing. And the next thing we have in support of our SEL supports for children, as we look at the whole multi-tier levels of support, is the SEL Academy. And this is one of my favorites. So within the SEL Academy, we have students who are on long-term suspension. Some of these kids is the first offense. Now, we're not talking about zero tolerance. We're not talking about kids who brought things they shouldn't be bringing to school to sell. We're not talking about those kids. We're talking about the children who may have gotten in a disagreement, may have used language they weren't supposed to be using or something like that. So these kids, instead of being out on long-term suspension, they are placed in SEL Academy, which is after school. So once again, we have parents, mothers and fathers who are dropping their kids off, and they go through 10 consecutive sessions where we cover the gamut, give them alternatives. They learn ways to deal with whatever they're struggling with. So once again, we have someone in the afternoons that's been trained, and they're working with these students. And what we also do, we circle back around and we check on Johnny. We check on Rebecca. We don't just leave them out. They go through the 10 sessions. We come back around and we go and we check on these students and see how they're doing. We become advocates for the students. So not just when those 10 days have passed by, we come back around, we check on them, we develop relationships, even when school just started. And so I have some babies I need to check on because they're looking. When you tell these children that you're coming to check on them, come back around and check and see how they're doing their progress, more so than looking in Power School, looking at grades. But they expect for us to be there, keeping our word. So I have maybe about 5 students that I work with, I continue to work with. So what's next? Well, because of receiving the funding behind with the resilience, we are starting SEL clubs. So I'm really excited about this. So we're going to be starting the SEL clubs to support. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. But one other thing, I will be remiss to mention our family wellness centers. So we have family wellness centers, and at the family wellness centers, we have licensed clinicians that work with students, work with parents, where we offer one-on-one counseling. If a parent says they need that, we also offer family counseling. We have 3, but we're in the process of starting 2 new family wellness centers, and they're spread throughout Shelby County, and the parents are bringing their kids in. That's something else. Is a beautiful thing to see in the afternoon. Children are receiving the help. So no more, well, we have parents, I don't know where to go. And so we're educating our teachers, the administrators, why don't you call and make an appointment with the licensed clinician that's there, and she or he will help you with whatever struggle your family is dealing with. All right, so this is the way Memphis-Shelby County Schools are supporting our students. Now, the SEL clubs. This after-school program was designed to give additional social and wellness supports to students with a history of behavioral concerns. Of course, these kids have been struggling with their behaviors, trying to work with them with that, academics, and attendance. So these are the 3 areas we're focused in on. So the students that would enter our SEL clubs, let me go back. Let me say this real quick. So there's going to be 3. We're starting off small. And we're going to have 3 schools, 2 K-8 schools and 1 middle school. And the schools that are selected are schools where there has a high number of, first of all, they're in areas, in impoverished areas, and they have a high number of students with disciplinary infractions. So that's the reason why we chose these 3 schools. And there's going to be approximately 20 students per school, which is total 60. Now, I know that may seem small in number, but we have some students. These students are students that the principal is going to select the students. And we're looking for students, typically tier 2 students, so students who've had behavior concerns throughout. But these babies have some leadership qualities. And if you work in the schools, you can easily go in. You talk to the principals, you say, okay, who are the students that may, you love them because you see the possibilities in them. However, they will come in and disturb any classroom, give them the opportunity. So these are the students we're looking for. We're looking for these kids with these leadership qualities because these particular kids, we're going to make these kids school ambassadors. We want these babies to turn around. We're going to give them some strategies because in the clubs, we're going to work with them after school. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but These are the babies who will make some of the ones of the 20 kids per schools, at least 2 per grade levels, and these will be the babies who will become the leaders. Because if they are the true leaders in the school, they're gonna turn some behaviors around with kids that we may not identify in, or they see Johnny, he's the one who typically gets in trouble, but now he's an ambassador. We're changing behaviors, changing mindsets. That's our goal for the SEL Club. And as part of the grant, we have to have working with partners. So an internal partner we're working with is our extended learning programs, because the SEL clubs will take place after school. We're going to partner with the extended learning program, ELP. It's our before and after school program. And it's free for the students at these particular schools. So that's one of the criteria of the schools we chose. They had to qualify for the free before and after school program. Our clubs will take place after school. All right. It's going to be a structure and it's going to be a safe environment, because understandably so, most of the areas where we will have these clubs, sometimes these kids even walking home become a challenge because of the things they encounter. We will provide homework assistance. Remember, academics are one of the areas that we're looking at. So no more will Johnny not have his homework, because we're going to work with him and make him accountable for it and make him feel great about having it. Okay. And another thing we're going to look at is tutoring. Oftentimes, these children are the ones that have gaps in their learning. So we're going to focus on tutoring, contacting the classroom teachers, looking at past TCAP scores, past grades, and also talking to the student, finding out, what do you think your areas of struggles are? And we're going to have a tutor there that we're working with these kids. Okay, so if that child is struggling with reading, we're going to have somebody there helping them with their reading. Something confidential, especially the middle school kids. Well, we're the middle or elementary, but the ones who are struggling, you are not reading at grade level, you need some help, we'll have somebody to work with those kids. And so I said, and they'll get a snack too. And I was quickly corrected, said, no, we're going to give them supper. And so these babies, not only will they get help with the homework, tutoring in a safe environment, but they'll receive dinner every evening. So I don't know what that's going to be, but I'm going to hang out and find out real soon, because I like to eat. All right, so that's our internal partner. Our external partner is going to be, we are seeking, right now I have proposals sitting on my desk, a community mental health agency that will come in, and these people will conduct weekly therapeutic groups. So once a week, they will go to each school. One day a week, they'll go to each school, and they will work with the students, and they will conduct groups with the babies. We're going to have parent meetings. So of course, we got to talk with the parents and let them know what's going on. And it also make referrals for the parent if we're thinking the student needs to take advantage of the Family Wellness Center. So we'll have meetings with the parents probably twice a year, first this semester and next semester. We will have everything aligned with our 5 CASEL competencies. The Rethink curriculum, everything is aligned with the 5 CASEL competencies. And that's self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision making. So these are the 5 competencies that we will be working with the students every week. So imagine that little boy, that little girl who struggle with good, responsible decision making, self-management, a lot of self-awareness. And so we will have a licensed clinician that will be working with these students. In addition to that, we're also going to have a SEL sponsor. I'm going to talk about that person in just a moment. She or he will be, but this person will come in, they'll be working with the students too. So that's in addition to the weekly Rethink curriculum. So these babies will be receiving support all the way around, all throughout their school day. And we remember, we're shaping leaders. So they'll be going back into the schools, talking to their buddies, not only tell them, don't do this, but let me tell you, if you get angry, why don't you just stop and breathe? So that's what we want to hear these young people going and sharing with their peers. All right. And if referrals need to be made, if the mental health specialist is working with the students and they realize that this student is struggling with some things that need some additional support, then referrals can be made at that time with those students. All right. So of course, I cannot manage all that because I wear multiple hats in the position I'm wearing now, but we'll be hiring SEL sponsors. The principals at each school right now, they have selected individuals in their buildings that will serve as the SEL sponsors. And these sponsors will be the one overseeing all the activities at each school, okay? They'll be the liaison between myself and the principal, okay? Their job will be to oversee all SEL club meetings and activities. And one of my colleagues say, will the name be SEL clubs? This could be, I'm gonna let the children and the SEL sponsor decide what they want to name the SEL club. But it has to, whatever the name is, of course, it has to be in line with the work that we're doing. So the children will design shirts, t-shirts, and so I'm hoping, but I'm gonna let that be at the discretion of each individual schools. They can wear their t-shirts and they can be able to sport those t-shirts at school, because then the other kids will start asking, how can I be part of the SEL club? And so with those aspirations, it will grow each year. All right. Oversee, so this sponsor will come in, oversee all the activities at the clubs, all the meetings. Whenever the outside clinician group come in, it will be their responsibility to monitor that. You know, if you work in the school system, if someone's coming from the outside, we have to have someone that will be monitoring it, and that person will be doing that. And they will be tracking the daily performance of each member. So we got to have the data, right? We got to be able to produce that. So they will be tracking that. They'll get that information back to me. And their job is to promote the CASEL competencies. Another person in the building that's educating not just the students, but also the teachers, anybody who come in contact with children, making sure everybody understands that. All right. Data collection, student outcomes will be measured with a baseline collected at the point of the student's entry into the club. So whenever they start, then that's when we'll start collecting data. All right, we're gonna start after Labor Day. Really excited about this. So I could, if you got, right now I'm just being composed, but I'm so excited. I get in bed, when I'm in bed and I'm thinking about all of the great things this work will do for the children of Memphis Shelby County School District. And I'm also excited about coming back as a collaborative effort to share with you guys about how this is working for our district. And, you know, I wish we had the resources to be able to do more than just the 3 schools, but it's a small start, but it's a great start. And the principals that I'm working with, they are over the moon excited about having this opportunity. One principal, we had to switch schools because I'm over all the KA schools, so I had to switch. And she was like, so why are you leaving? Because that particular program, remember we had to partner up with the internal partner, the extended learning program. That particular school switched, and they went Y-Care. Well, I'm with extended learning program, so the money's, you know, everything about funding, so it's done differently. And so she was like, are you coming back? I said, hopefully next year, you know, we can do that. So we're starting after Labor Day, and I'm excited about this work, and I'm excited to meet with you guys again when we come together and collaborate to show what's happening within the first quarter of the SEL clubs, what interesting names our young people come up with for their clubs, the t-shirts they design, because each school will have their own t-shirt, and the ambassadors. And we're gonna have I want to have a formal, I want the whole student body to watch these babies that's typically been labeled as those kids who are always suspended, that was in trouble all the time. The other kids gonna be like, what in the world? How did Johnny become an ambassador? But he's not only going to become an ambassador, but he's going to represent his school and the district well, because he will be loaded with all the strategies that's needed to be a success, and hopefully turning his world around, or even, you know, Rebecca, well, whoever the students, their lives will be changed, I believe, by being members of the SEL club and also being an ambassador for their school and for their district. And another thing we were looking at, I'm partnering with another group as far as the SEL support. We're gonna do some field experiences. I'm in the line, I'm working with that, because within the SEL team, under Dr. Hargrave, she's a phenomenal person. She believes in his work. We're also teaming with other people within our department to give some field experiences, i.e. field trips for the students. So, because a lot of our babies have never been out of their zip code. They don't venture out of their zip code. So be able to take them to some other places, I'm really excited about that. All right, so my name is Colette Parks. I was nervous. and I was to be the first person up, but I'm excited, and I look forward to hearing what you guys are going to bring now, and any questions or comments. I look forward to answering any that you may have. All right, thank you.
Did it on a short person setting. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited for you and the C program, Colette. One of the first things I noticed was you had a policy change based on all the research and the work that you've already done. And it takes a while to get policy change, and it takes a while to change policy. So that's that's a pretty big step. And I'm glad we have Loudoun County Schools will present later, but y'all have very similar programs. So hopefully y'all can pair up at some point and share tips. But I'm excited to get to present or to get to introduce Karen Pershing, sorry. No, let me make sure. Pershing. I'm so sorry. I have multiple glasses. From the Metro Drug Coalition of Knoxville, and she is going to present next and talk about the work they are doing in their community. And it's up and down for forward and back. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sharina, and I can just tell you we're thrilled to have this opportunity to kind of build on a project we did during the last grant cycle, but to be able to expand into other healthcare entities. So ours is really healthcare driven. So it's creating a system of care within the healthcare environment that is ACEs educated, resiliency aware, and using trauma-informed practices within those healthcare providers and in their offices. So we weren't super creative on our title, I apologize, but Building a Resilient East Tennessee is what we came up with. I want to recognize my team who's with me today. So Sharon Moore has a Doctor of Pharmacy degree and has worked in the behavioral health field for quite a few years, so she's an expert in her field. And then Hope Nelson is a registered nurse who also has a master's in public health. And both of them actually go into the practices and will educate and provide training in those practice sites. So I'll explain a little bit more about academic detailing as I move forward. And then online, unfortunately couldn't be here in person, is Tanner Wilkie, who is also a nurse, registered nurse with a behavioral health background, who is our project manager. So very much looking forward to working with them. So Metro Drug Coalition, for those of you who aren't familiar with us, we are based in Knoxville. We're a 37-year-old nonprofit organization. And our vision is really to create a health and safe community free of substance misuse. So our focus has always been on substance misuse prevention, but now we're also doing harm reduction, which is helping people navigate into treatment. We don't do treatment. And then also naloxone training and distribution throughout our community. And then we also just opened our first ever in our area of the state Recovery Community Center, where we're helping adults as they exit treatment. We're helping to provide additional supports and a safe space for them to continue their recovery journey. For those of you who aren't aware, recovering from a substance use disorder is a lifelong process, but especially in that first 18 to 24 months, in that process is when they're the most vulnerable for returning to use. So we're trying to bridge that gap so that again, we know that if an adult with a substance use disorder heals, then that whole family heals. So we're looking at it from a family systems perspective. So our project overview is to really target OBGYNs in the East region and develop what we call an ACEs toolkit, which provides them basically all of the tools they need and the scripts that use trauma-informed language to be able to discuss ACEs with their patients. But also adding on to that is this resiliency piece. So what is resiliency? How do you measure resiliency in patients? So that we're not just talking about, again, what may have happened during childhood, but also how they have overcome some of those situations. And so really focusing on a strengths-based approach with their patients versus a, doom and gloom, you've had these ACEs. So again, and then just normalizing the fact that ACEs are very common. But also, how can we break those multi-generational trauma cycles in a lot of our families? So we felt like if we could get to especially pregnant women before they deliver a baby and get them educated and understanding, again, what ACEs are, but also assessing their own histories. But then what can I do as a new mom or a new parent in changing the way maybe I parent versus how I was parented? So another piece of this is providing continuing ongoing education for these healthcare practitioners, because through their training, many of them get no training on these types of programs. So MDC has been very fortunate. We have really since 2015 been out there training healthcare providers on addiction, in particular, and treatments for people with substance use disorders. So we're kind of in that space already, so it's just continuing to build on that and being more specific in our targets. So the reason we're doing this, I have a particular passion around pregnant women and young children. I really learned in 2010 when I first came to this job, I was invited to go to a meeting at East Tennessee Children's Hospital. And at that time, we were seeing quite a few babies born exposed to opioids and suffering from uncomfortable withdrawal symptoms. I had no idea this was going on. I'll be honest with you, it totally escaped me. And so to hear how the practitioners at East Tennessee Children's were trying to figure out ways in which to manage the babies, but then also how to help these moms that were struggling with substance use disorder. So that's really what got me interested in this whole field, was what can we do at Metro Drug Coalition to help bridge that gap as well in the community and begin to educate our community on what was happening. So current stats, 1 in 5 pregnant women will suffer from maternal mental health disorders. 1 in 5. I mean, that's a lot higher than what I realized. And then less than 15% will actually receive treatment, which is a shame that we don't have better access. 1 in 7 will experience depression. Right now, the Tennessee Department of Health, our infant mortality rate is 7 out of every 1,000 babies born in Tennessee are dying before their first year of life. Up to 50% of women who are living in poverty will suffer from a mental health disorder. So you got the 1 in 5, but you got 1 in 2 of women living in poverty. And then one of the perinatal risk factors is high ACE scores, and especially a history of abuse. So again, identifying those risk factors during pregnancy is extremely important for determining which of those women maybe more at risk of developing a maternal mental health disorder. Tennessee Department of Health also in their reports, substance use disorder, which is what SUD is, and mental health contributed to 41% of pregnancy-associated deaths between 2017 and 2020. So again, we in Tennessee can do better. We can do better with pregnant women and embracing where they are and meeting them where they are so that we can improve birth outcomes and also reduce infant mortality. So our objectives of our project are really to establish an ACEs advisory board, and who's going to be on that advisory board is really OBGYN champions throughout our region. So whether they're working in a clinic environment, like we have Cherokee Health Systems, which is an FQHC in East Tennessee that has a high-risk pregnancy OB clinic. And then we have quite a few facilities that are also delivering babies. And so we want to get a broad representation throughout the region represented on that advisory board. So that's our collective impact group. We're calling it an advisory board because most people outside of our world don't understand what collective impact is, right? So we'll explain that to them, but we're going to call them something that makes sense for them. We're going to develop that toolkit with that advisory board, kind of helping guide that process. So we will have, drafted pieces given to them, getting feedback, making sure that it's meeting their needs as practitioners. And then we're going to be implementing that toolkit in the East region. We will go practice to practice and provide academic detailing is really something that pharmaceutical companies, I hate to admit this, really taught us. So it's going in and doing micro educational sessions, so short pieces of information to educate them in their practice environment and to be able to help them implement new tools and new strategies. So Sharon and Hope are my two academic detailers, and I'm so thrilled to have them. And then the conference, again, having an annual conference that provides continuing medical education, that digs a little deeper into ACEs, trauma, resilience, substance use disorders, mental health. Again, that advisory board will help shape the agenda for where their learning gaps are. So I'm trying not to put too much in their heads initially, just to see, again, what their thoughts and ideas are. The ultimate, you see in the corner there, ultimately, I would like to see ACOG, which is the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecologists, to actually integrate ACEs and resiliency as a standard of care throughout the country. I always have big visions and big dreams. It's got to start somewhere, right? Might as well start here in Tennessee. That's the way I look at it. And we do have an OB champion in East Tennessee who's got over 40 years of experience as an OB. And my plan is to pull him into this because he's led Tennessee ACOG, but he's also been very involved in ACOG at the national level. So I'm hopeful that if we can get him to become a champion around this, that he might be able to influence policy within that system nationwide. Whoops, I did something wrong. I hit the wrong button. Sorry. So our previous history, MDC, I was actually in the first cohort of Building Strong Brains training sessions. So as soon as I went to that and got all my tools and information, I had already learned about the original ACE study. And so I was very excited when Building Strong Brains rolled out in the state of Tennessee. And so I started integrating in all of my community presentations on substance use disorders, this whole trauma piece. And getting people to understand that many of the folks that we were serving or were suffering in our community with substance use disorders had high ACE scores. And so it helps decrease stigma if people understand that it's not an intentional thing to become addicted to drugs. So building strong brains, again, is something that I continue to integrate in everything that I do and that we do at MDC. Born Drug Free, I mentioned that aha moment when I was at East Tennessee Children's Hospital. And so we developed an education and awareness project in East Tennessee with multiple partners. And we were able to launch in 2015 Born Drug Free Tennessee. Anyone can use those materials on the website. We have social media around this, but it's really education awareness about pregnancy, exposure to substances, both legal and illegal substances, and the potential harm, but also trying to embrace women where they are. Again, and encourage them the best things they can do, right, are early entry into prenatal care and getting into treatment as soon as possible. And so that's what our project is all about, is pushing them, breaking down stigma, and getting them the help and the care they need. SBIRT was part of that project too, which is screening, brief intervention, and referral to treatment. This is an evidence-based strategy through SAMHSA. I went through a SAMHSA training on SBIRT, and we developed a training program in the East region. So we have educated now over 600 of our providers in SBIRT. And what that is just asking a few questions about their current or previous history around substances. Many doctors already ask about tobacco and alcohol use. So this is just taking it a little step further, but then using motivational interviewing if someone is at risk from developing a substance use disorder to help them develop a strategy to maybe reduce that risk before they actually develop a substance use disorder. So it's really getting that at-risk 25% and focusing on them versus really focusing on those who already have a substance use disorder. Because once they have a substance use disorder, the best you can do is just refer them to a treatment expert that can help them with that disorder. But that at-risk 25% is really what SBIRT is designed to change the trajectory of. So we're very fortunate that we've been able to implement that. And then All for Knox is a collective impact model that we launched in Knox County around substance use disorders in 2019. And so it's multi-collaborative stakeholders. We have 7 action teams. One of those I serve as the chair on, which is the standardization of practice action team. So this particular project actually fits under that standardization of practice group and our goals and objectives in that. So SBIRT's under there, ACEs is under there, as well as implementing buprenorphine medication-assisted treatment within emergency departments in our region. And then you see down there in the corner, I mentioned we had a previous grant through Department of Children's Services, so this is our second round of funding, and we're very excited about this. So we did a toolkit, a similar process previously for pediatric practices. Again, it was a way to educate 2 generations at the same time around ACEs. So you get the kids, you get the parents, and then tip sheets for the parents on how to build resilience in their children. And it went very well. I wish we'd have had a little bit more time to get to more practices, but the toolkit's available. And so we can continue to offer that now that it's built to pediatric practices, whether we are focusing on that now or not. So 10 ACEs is kind of our little logo that you see on the bottom there. So we will carry that 10 ACEs logo over into this OBGYN practice initiative. So our long-term objectives, again, I told you Karen's very visionary and has big hopes and ideas. So again, that this becomes universal, that there's universal ACE and resiliency screening done on all pregnant women. We integrate trauma-informed practices in all of our healthcare offices throughout the country, but let's start with East Tennessee first. And then improve maternal morbidity and mortality. So again, the healthier our moms can be, the healthier our babies are going to be. And so you cannot separate the mother-baby dyad. And then reduce infant mortality. Again, if we have healthier moms, the chances of a baby dying before the first year, before their first birthday will be reduced as well. And then increase resilience in families. Again, we all want to see this. That's why we're all here. So how can we make our families stronger and able to care better for themselves and their children? And then overall, improving mental health and reducing substance use disorders. There's a lot of overlap between mental health and substance use disorders. So by focusing on either or one of those, we're going to reduce both. Any questions anyone has?
I had one question come in.
I love questions.
It may have been a question about sharing slides, and we can talk about
Oh, sharing slides. Okay. Any questions in the room? Sharina, yes.
As you're engaging physicians, how is this information landing with professionals who've been in the field for a long time?
Will you repeat that question for the people online?
Yes. So she was asking how physicians respond, right? Is that and how we get them engaged? Well, it's not easy. I'll just be honest with you, because physicians are very busy people. They only have so much time with their patients. And so when you initially go to them and you want to add another screening, a lot of them are doing lots of screenings that are now required, right? So this is not required. So trying to convince them really of the importance and how this will make the care of their patients actually easier for them, because if they understand their patients a little better, they're going to be able to relate to them, plus their job satisfaction goes up. And that's what we learned with the pediatric ACEs. Once they started talking to them, to the parent and to the children about ACEs, they actually found that their job satisfaction went up, because they felt like they had a much better understanding of their patients, not just medically, but socially, and being able to connect them to resources. So part of the toolkit is also that resource piece, is where additional resources that they can go to refer their patients. So that's a very good question. But initially getting in the door can be a little bit challenging, which is why we're excited about this advisory council, because we feel like if we create physician champions within that group, they'll help open the doors for their colleagues. One of the things we do too is pre and post. So again, we find out what their knowledge is, what their comfort level is with this topic. And then after we detail them, we find out, a little bit later what has changed and where their comfort level is now in approaching these subjects. So it's been a really good experience. So we're definitely looking forward to this next go around.
I did.
You did have a question. Okay.
A friend over in Chattanooga said, can you share the names of the people on your team that you mentioned back at the beginning?
Yes.
Particularly the pharmacist, I think.
Sure. Sharon Moore is our pharmacist, and then Hope Nelson is our RN that's also has a master's in public health, and then Tanner Wilkie is our project director, who is a registered nurse as well. Thank you. And my contact information, in case anyone would like to reach me, feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen, for all of the work you're doing. I think that's so exciting to integrate it with medical professionals. Hopefully, one day we can hope to see it in their curriculum. And talking as much as possible about perinatal mental health as we continue our work together. And again, that focus. Yes, ma'am.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I
But
think
do.
a wonderful addition might be to find one of the residents who's looking for an elective and get them trained to be your liaison. We just need to start them thinking about how they incorporate this into a CME. You'll get a lot of buy-in if there are credits attached to it. Doctors aren't as offended by hearing stuff that's making them busier, and they can get an hour of CME.
And that's a lived experience right there.
Yes, and for those online, Dr. Stewart had an excellent recommendation about developing curriculum that physicians can get CMEs with so that it's part of their curriculum and it gets integrated into their requirements every year. So that's a great idea. So thank you for sharing that. Okay. So next we have a group that from Omni Family Visions. Did I get that right? Omni, you may have to help me. Omni Family Services. I apologize. I know that there are various branches of Omni, and I haven't got them straight yet, but I'm working on it actively in front of everyone. But they. Their project is super exciting as a child welfare professional for myself, even in terms of supporting our workforce. And because we have nervous systems too, and we have brains and sensitivities as well. And for us to be able to recruit and encourage our workforce and support and mentor others, we want to develop ways and a systematic way to pull people in and support them in doing this work to advocate for children and families. So with that, I'm excited to introduce Gwen Koning from the Hope Collective and her group and her team, Leanne Pray, Leslie Grass, and Mindy Kaiser. Awesome. All right. We're going to move it on down. And that is forward. That's backward.
Gotcha.
All right. Great.
Okay, well, I need to tell you all that I just had my first success of the day because I walked from that end all the way down that aisle and I didn't fall a bit. And that was a huge success for me because I kind of have a tendency to do that. So we're starting off really good. We're so excited to be here, just like everybody else is, with being able to be a part of this opportunity. Colette, I need to know when dinner is served because I live in Collierville, so I can come over for the dinner with y'all. But we just wanted to be a part. We're so excited to be a part of this. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Leanne Pray. I'm the clinical director for Omni Care for our community health part. And then I want to introduce to you also Mindy Kaiser, who is our executive director of the Omni Family Institute. And that's where the Hope Collective is going to be housed, basically. That's where that's going to be a part of as we go through this project. So Mindy is going to have a great input and is so excited to be a part of this because she wants to, her desire is to make sure we make the biggest impact across the broadest spans of clients and our teams as well. So we're really, really, really excited about that. With the Hope Collective, what we're excited to do is a lot of times what we've done in our field is we've focused on symptom reduction. With the Hope Collective, what we get to do is we get to focus on where we're going. where we're moving to, we get to allow people to be inspired by where they're going. I love that opportunity to be able to do that. And the cool thing about that is that we can do that with our team members and build in a better workforce, but then we also get to make a bigger impact with our clients. And with that, we're going to do this through using the research that has been developed by actually somebody who lived in Middle Tennessee at one point, Dr. Angela Ferris. I don't know if any of you remember that name, but she is with the University of Oklahoma now, and they have done a lot of research on hope and the difference that that makes in treatment. And so we're actually using the research that has already been done and building on that and seeing how we can use that to inspire change with families, but then also to be able to build a stronger workforce. But that none of that would be possible without really collaborating well. And so we have multiple community partners that we're working with in order to do that. Like we said, we're with the Omni family of services. I'm with Omni Community Health. But I think, Serena, you've already said, I'm trying to get that straight. Well, sometimes we are too. So we get that. We get that. But what's really good is that with having such a broad reach, having multiple parts of our company, we can touch the lives of so many people. We have a foster care program where we can touch the lives of foster parents and youth and children in the foster care system. That is such a need right there, especially with ACEs, we know. Then we have our community mental health part, where we have clinics across Tennessee, and within those clinics we have 3 major services. We do medication management, we do outpatient therapy, and then we also have Tennessee Health Link, which is a coordination of care service. And so we get to hit families that are intact and then families that are working to reunify. So that is such a huge, broad expanse of people that we get to touch across the state. And like I said, we couldn't do that if it was just us doing it. So we have some community partners that we work with. And one of those is Nurture the Next. We're really excited to be able to partner with them. This partnership is going to really be a great influence in our communities because they do work a lot with parenting, education, parent mentorship. And so working together with them, I think will have a great impact across Tennessee. So we're very excited about that. The other piece is going to be Attend, which is a technology-based avenue, which is so great to be able to have for our families to have access to things immediate and timely. So we look forward to doing a lot more with that. But I wanted to introduce you to our team, to our project, but Gwen is going to give you the real detail and the excitement about what our project's going to do.
Thanks, Leanne. Hi, good morning. Oh, I'm going backwards, so you didn't trip.
I didn't trip yet.
Good morning, I'm Gwen Koenig. I'm the Director of Strategic Growth at the Omni Family of Services. Proud social worker of 30 years, and my role is to really help find creative and innovative solutions for us to further our mission. So I wanted to share a little bit about Hope Science today. Because that's really what this grant allows us to focus on and demonstrate within the Omni Family of Services and Nurture the Next for the next 4 years, is how hope can have that impact that Leanne was talking about. We are so honored to work with Drs. Angela Ferris and Dr. Chan Hellman from the Oklahoma Hope Research Center. I learned about this about a year ago, and I feel nervous trying to do justice to their research because I'm kind of like a fangirl at this point. It's just, I'm a bit obsessed with it because it just, in 30 years of doing this work, you know, we've had a lot of things come and go, and to see something that is this impactful and easy for all of us to grasp, right? I mean, hope just sounds amazing, but sometimes it sounds like hope. Yeah, we all know what that is. And so I want to share today about the science of hope in a very high level explanation, and just that the science of hope is just that, it's a science. It's a cognitive science that can be taught. Resilience, as you all know, because we're in Resilient Tennessee meeting, resilience is incredible. It has to be experienced. Hope is something that can be taught, it's cognitive, and there are steps to it and incredible research and outcomes. So this is the premise of it, is that hope is the belief that the future can be better than today and that you have the power to make it so. And there's 3 steps in teaching the simplicity of hope, the science of hope. The first one is helping an individual set a meaningful or achievable goal. And when we think about the people that we serve, if we just stop there, that first step, that's just a wish. So if we say, well, I hope today it doesn't rain, or I hope this client gets to court today, or I hope we can get transportation for this family, those are just wishes, right? Without actionable steps to it, those are just wishes. But the science of hope is then taking that goal that matters to that person, not necessarily matters to a case plan, or, those are important too, but it has to matter to the individual. Helping them define that, helping them find multiple pathways, because so often in all of our lives, right, if I have a goal around maybe losing weight, and I have one, I'm going to work out every day, and some obstacle happens, well, I guess that's done, we're finished. But having multiple pathways and helping the people we serve identify different multiple pathways really allows us to set them up for success. And if they do have a pathway blocked, to help them around that. The third step to Hope Science is initiating what we would call mental energy or personal agency. Like, how am I going to get started? I think we talked about this morning about COVID and how that kind of sapped the mental energy for a lot of us. If I am somebody who's working to reunify with my child and I have all these obstacles in front of me, I might have a hard time getting motivated on my goal and moving towards it. So we know that that mental energy and helping people overcome some of those barriers is a really important part to succeeding and then achieving that goal and then going on to the next goal and the next goal and the next goal. So as Leanne mentioned earlier, one of the things that we love is that the science of hope really evolved out of positive psychology. In my 30 years of doing practice, so often we were like, well, as long as we can eliminate eliminate the problems that someone's having or just get them to baseline and have more of a pathology approach, then that's success. And we want for everybody that we serve that they're beyond baseline, that they're flourishing, that they're experiencing joy in their life, that they're overcoming the impact of those ACEs that they might have experienced in their own personal trauma. So if you think of this scale here, where it says past, if that's like a -10, and attention in the middle, flourishing, that's a 0, and then all the way over to the future is +10. So often in our work, we've kind of got to the middle, like, oh, we just went from -10 to 0. But we really can see hope opens up this opportunity to unlock other strengths and get people beyond that, all the way up to flourishing and a +10. So Drs. Ferris and Hellman have incredible research, and that was why this was such a, like, for us, an obvious response to the funding announcement, is that their science of hope and how that's been played out, how it connects with ACEs, they were able to demonstrate that, and they continue to do that in tons and tons of research. This is just one study that they did where children went to a camp. It was a 5-day camp, and the children were coming out of foster care or residential, kind of out-of-home custody or out-of-home placements. And in that camp, they taught the counselors to teach the kids every day these 3 steps around the science of hope. What's your goal for today? What are your pathways? How are you going to do it? And if you look at the pre-test versus the post-test, they were able to see a significant increase. This is hopeful thinking on the y-axis or the left side. And they were able to show this 2-point increase in hopeful thinking by doing that every day. Fantastic. But why does this really matter? Because 30 days after the kids left the camp, they did the same test. And they were able to see that the kids' hopeful thinking continued to go up. And why does that matter? Sure, we all want to be hopeful, but these kids were actually able to show that 2-point increase was a direct letter grade improvement. So the kids went, if they had a C, they went to a B. They were able to show a direct statistical connection to the hopefulness and functioning in school. And so for us, that's really what this is about. It's about better functioning, better improvement. And as Serena has said, this translates to the people that are doing this incredible work. We all know that people come to this work a lot of time with higher ACEs than the general population, and we have high burnout. And I will say it in a public setting because I say this a lot. We can have the best evidence-based practices, we can have all the best technology, but if the people doing this work keep turning over for the people we serve, they're not going to have the outcomes they deserve. And so we are dedicated to how can we solve not just the workforce crisis, but really helping with burnout and secondary trauma and the impact of ACEs on those people who are doing this hard work. And Dr. Ferris and Dr. Hellman's work was actually quoted by the National Child Welfare Workforce Institute as something that can reduce burnout in people that we serve. They have done a ton of work in multiple states. They're in Oklahoma, have done a lot with Department of Human Services there and in other states, and really getting a lot of momentum in how this is helping with workforce and with clients. So we're very committed to that and implementing this. So now Leslie is going to tell us how we're taking the Science of Hope with this initiative and going to demonstrate throughout our programs and Nurtures the Next through Tennessee how this can actually improve for both populations, and then hopefully work with Resilient Tennessee to continue that work. Leslie.
Hi everyone, I'm Leslie Grass. I am obviously the third musketeer from this group. I'm the Tennessee HealthLink Program Manager for Omni Community Health. Tennessee HealthLink, formerly known as case management for a lot of you that have been in this field, but it's now the care coordination plan. So I'm going to get to be the one to try to figure out which way to go here.
Down is forward.
Down is forward. There you go. I do this just so. I'm also the shortest musketeer. Last July, I'm excited to say that we kicked off our Hope Collaborative in Franklin, Tennessee. This is where we got to the meats and potatoes of the program. It's very exciting, and we were excited to get together and start to initiate this project. The Hope Trauma Based is going to be probably one of the most exciting things for me because as a collaborative program, Hope buffers adversity. Sorry, y'all. Leaders in this group, all the way from leadership, all the way down to staff, it goes down to where is your hope level? Are you excited about what you're going to do? We know that the more the trauma, the less the hope. And this is what the group really got together and got to begin to talk about. It's been proven that an increase in goal attainment by caregivers with an increase in parent-child attachment during the length of the client involvement. 10%, the plan is a 10% or more decrease in burnout by families, by staff serving families. Burnout, such a high level of issue in our field, and it's difficult for all our staff sometimes to see all the trauma that we have. So we also want to create a replicable case management practice model, care coordination, patient-centered care, collect and analyze aggregate data. Data is so important. Not everyone's favorite part of the puzzle. Not everybody likes to collect the data, but it's so important to see where we're going, where we've been. Provide a final evidence-based tool for skilled and non-skilled staff. Hope is for everyone, and this is going to be for everyone that's participating, whether it's our licensed physicians or if it's our family support specialists. Everybody can use the Hope within their plans. So this is the exciting part of it, is how it's all going to start to fall down, work into our families. The first thing we're going to do is offer a Hope awareness overview. What this will be is we're going to start talking to management. We want to start with leadership. We want everyone to buy in to the HOPE. We want there to be a support system all throughout the group. Provide HOPE navigator trainings. This is where we are going to, after speaking with everybody and explaining the HOPE, we're going to select navigators within our group. The navigators in the group are going to have trainings. They're going to do the trainings. We're going to pick this group of individuals out to identify, to embed the HOPE practice. So these will be your individuals within your practice that will working with the HOPE. They'll be working with the processes. They'll be working with staff. They will be the ones that will lead the initiative. They'll lead the strategies and build the strategies, the processes that will be implemented. It will start by collecting assessment data. Where is the HOPE? Where's your HOPE level? This will be exciting for staff members. If you go in, you notice the staff member. Where is their HOPE? Where are everybody in your group? Are they feeling hopeless at this point? Do they feel like you go into the office today, nothing's going to change? Things are still going to turn out the way they always do. But there'll be strategies. So where's their HOPE level? Their pathways will be created. This will be passed down to the families, the children that we serve. Identify research design. There'll be monthly meetings once the design's created. There will be continual support for our HOPE navigators. Continued researching. There'll be we're going to develop a case management practice model. Build technology to support implementation and fidelity. We'll be working with Attend and Nurture the Next, and there'll be technology built into these pieces to help with the families get the research data back in to truth, the numbers. So as you can tell, I don't do this a whole lot. I'm a numbers person. I like numbers. I like KSIs. And I know that's kind of scary for everybody because I can see where this HOPE raises the benefits for all these families and the staff that they serve.
Will you step a little closer to the microphone?
Oh, sorry.
And maybe repeat that for that comment.
So I'm really excited to see what the HOPE Collaborative is going to bring to all the organizations, because the HOPE and the pathways that HOPE will create was going to benefit the families and those that serve the families as well.
Okay, so that's a broad overview, and we could give you a lot of detail, but I know that y'all are going to want lunch, you're going to want lots of things, so we're keeping it as broad as we can of an overview. But the cool thing that I want to say as we go into the questions and answers is one of the great things with the HOPE Collective is that it's going to be evidence-based, but not take the place of the interventions that you're currently doing. I think that's really important. I see when I try to visualize it in my head, I see that overarching umbrella of this is how we approach each other, which we know that is a huge piece of being trauma informed, is how we approach each other and how we approach our clients. So that's that broad overarching umbrella that all your interventions can flow through underneath that, which means it doesn't take the place of, it complements, it enhances what we're already doing. So I wanted to make sure to kind of give, for me, I have to have a visualization of it. So that's my visualization for you all. So do you have any questions for us at this time?
I actually do. Do you mind just sharing a little bit more about the Attend app and like what that'll look like? Will you repeat that question for the online?
Sure. Mindy was asking about the technology partner that we have in this collective called Attend Behavioral. It's an incredible platform that allows parents or any user to get in and see kind of curriculum information, and then on the back end it can collect data. Currently, Attend has a project or an evidence-based product called Ruby, R-U-B-I, which was developed and is on the California-based clearinghouse, is an evidence-based practice for families with children with IDD, mostly autism, or children with ADHD, But the concept is that a family and a parent can get onto the Attend Behavior platform, read some very quick kind of micro lessons about behavior modification and some practices. They can do some test outs, they can create a schedule. They can have all these different tools at their disposal that kind of helps them learn how to do some behavior management. My favorite part of it is they might get a notification during dinner. But what that curriculum and that information on the platform does is then it goes into a dashboard that the professional helping that family can look at that information and say, oh, in our home visit, here's something I can help you with. So we're going to use that same platform and Attend for the HOPE information. Initially, we're going to use it for some pre and post data collection, maybe some reminders. Could even use it for the staff of here's how you could use, here's a reminder about multiple pathways and what to do if they get blocked, et cetera. And as we build that out in kind of a coaching tool through Attend, throughout the 4 years of this process, we're going to develop the tool more initially for data collection. Second phase will be for reminders and kind of implementing the HOPE practice, because it seems really, really easy until you try to do it. I tried to do it with my teenage son because he was having a rough day and he's like, yeah, I don't have any goals. And I was like, darn it, after 30 years, it's still hard. So sometimes it sounds like a great idea and then you go to implement it, it's like, oh, I got stuck. And that's really what this tool can do for us and for the staff. And then on the third phase on the back end, now we have all this great data. So we can really use that to say, how do we improve our programs? How is the HOPE? How is it working towards burnout? All these other things. So the technology piece is really key to this, and it'll be a phased-in development. But we're really excited to partner with Attend and learn from them. Thank you, Mindy. Yes.
I have two super quick questions. Would you remind me what the third step is? First, you're developing a goal.
The third one is called agency. Oh, I went way back. Agency or kind of willpower or mental energy. It's just that, can I get out of bed and even put one foot in front of the other to do this?
Fantastic, thank you. And then you were talking about sort of gauging hopefulness.
Hopeful thinking.
Do you have a screening tool that you're using for that?
Yeah, it's the Adult Hope Scale, and it's public domain. And if you want, I can share that with you. It's a public domain scale, but it does measure these different agency and pathways, and then we can look at the pre versus post. And if Dr. Ferris and Helma were here, they would say they didn't invent HOPE. It's been proven in lots of areas, especially in physical health. There's some incredible things with HOPE in pediatric oncology. I mean, think about like maybe a place of despair, but actually they've shown incredible outcomes with using HOPE. So they didn't, but they've really kind of focused on human services in our populations and been able to show such an impact there. And so they would say that it's, they didn't invent the scale, but they have some incredible things in their framework about how we can use it within these populations.
And I can add on to that for us, what we're going to do with that is use that to benchmark treatment. So we're going to use the hopefulness scale to be able to show their motivation for change and to also show where they're at in treatment so that we can actually put that HOPE practice in place by using that measure. So it gives HOPE, I think we can seem very vague when we say HOPE, but what that does is that actualizes it. It gives us a point of reference to go from and to be able to use to motivate change and to create a better treatment process for folks. Any other questions?
And for caregivers.
Duet.
And for the caregivers.
And for the caregivers, yes, absolutely. Well, thank you all so much. We really appreciate y'all being here.
Did you say what area you're going to be doing this?
Yes, across the state. So that's one of the cool things about our company is that we have such a broad expanse across the state with so many different clients. So we're really excited to be able to see how it impacts families in the various regions. Anything else? Well, thank you all so much, and we are so excited to get to hear about the rest of the projects that are going on.
So I will take ownership. We had an interesting, I don't think I've ever seen PowerPoint combined this way, but for some reason they had Metro Drug Coalition. Apologies, that is the Hope Collective. Not sure what happened there, but it was after hours when I put this together last night, so I'll just say that. Oh my goodness, as a training manager at the Department of Children's Services, my heart sings to see that we're looking at sustaining our workforce and offering something that's going to help us sustain and retain public service people who serve children and families. And so that is really exciting to me. And I'm excited to learn more about Hope Science. I work with Dr. Ferris for a number of years at Middle Tennessee State University. So it's always great to work with her. I think the Metro Drug Coalition is it's interjecting itself into every, it's really weird. I don't think I've ever, it's like your slide is coming. Okay. I hate to, I apologize. I don't know what's going on. I feel like the content, is everyone okay to move forward? And then at the lunch, I will make sure the rest of the slides look okay. So sorry. But again, super exciting stuff. You can tell that us at the department are thrilled to have a partnership with the grantees, and our next grantee is the Safe and Secure Tennessee organization, and we have Stephanie Davidson with us, I believe, or Dr. Rachel Peterman. You're Dr. Peterman is with us.
Telling that other woman earlier about not tripping on the way over, so.
Yeah. It's the winds.
Stephanie's gonna let me take over so I can get us to lunch quickly.
Oh, fantastic.
Press down to move forward.
Down to move forward. Awesome.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Rachel Peterman, and I am the program manager for Safe and Secure Tennessee. And I'm excited to be here today. We've got part of our team here. Mark and Stephanie are with us, but representing the entire organization as we do lots of work across the Shelby County area, the state of Tennessee, and even internationally. So just a tiny history, a little bit about who we are. So we are Empowered to Connect, and we've been around for about 20 years. And our three main programs are the Empowered to Connect Institute, which is where we do a lot of parent and caregiver training and curriculum and resource development. And then we have Safe and Secure Tennessee, which is what we're going to talk about today, which is the training and coaching component, where we serve primarily organizations and professionals, but there's definitely some caregivers involved in that as well. And then the Memphis Family Connection Center is our local Shelby County work, where we have a clinic that has about 30 staff, and we provide counseling for primarily for children and families that have experienced trauma and adversity. And we also provide speech and language therapy, occupational therapy, parent coaching, groups, parent training, all the fun things, right? So we serve them holistically in that center. I have been excited to listen to all of the other presenters this morning. It is so cool to see how there is crossover and not competition. It's really neat to see that we all have these roles to play in supporting the state of Tennessee. And I keep hearing them like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. I love that you're finding the leaders to serve the children, and children leaders is such a great concept. And then all of these other pieces with these different programs, how there's just overlap, but we're supporting each other. So I can't wait to talk to some more of you later and see how we all can continue to work together. I kept nudging Stephanie. I'm like, okay, so like for the next 20 years, we have our work, you know, to like partner with this person and that person. One of the things that was said was about at the very beginning by Mr. Kennedy was about kind of having this same definition of what trauma informed is, right? And so one of the things that we have sought to do for our work specifically is kind of moving through this trajectory to become trauma informed, right? So whether we're working in the clinic with an individual or across the state or even internationally serving parents in other countries, we are thinking about how do we move people to trauma informed, which is actually integrating the practices. So all of us, of course, have learned about ACEs. We know that that's that foundation piece, but we wanted to take it to that next level of what is the actual implementation of that look like? What are the practices, the policies, the procedures? What does this look like day to day? And how do we support people in doing that? So that's a lot of what drives what we do, again, across the board. So for Safe and Secure, we have 3 main goals that all of our work tries to hit. So we want to increase knowledge of attachment-based, healing-centered caregiving. So the first step we recognize is that we have to have that background information, training, education, get the information out there. The second step is the actual implementation of these practices, right? So that's that trauma-informed level. And not only do we need to do this with our families, but also in the organizations. So I'm thinking about the Hope Collective. There's a lot of similarities there that I was thinking about, like, oh yeah, you know, we want to support the professionals that are doing this work. It's so important. By the way, Collierville, I live in Collierville. You look familiar. I feel like I've seen you around, probably have. It's not that big, so we'll have to get together. But it's very exciting. Oh,
Let me just move this a little bit closer to you.
okay, I can step up a little bit more. Thank you. So not only serving the families, which is obviously very important, but also supporting the organizations and the caregivers, because we want to maintain the staff and reduce the turnover and the burnout. Again, Hope being such a key part of that. And then after they're doing it, again, why we're here today is to improve this continuity of care, improving these systems of care, right, through collaboration. So here we are today collaborating, and we've had that same thought of how do we help these organizations and these families work together to actually continue to support each other and promote the hope and the healing. So about a year and a half ago, yeah, we became a TBRI ambassador organization. So TBRI is trust-based relational intervention. It's listed as a promising practice for the California Evidence-Based Clearinghouse, and it's been around for about 20 years. Based on lots and lots of research, the evidence is continuing to emerge about its effectiveness. And TBRI does form the foundation for everything we do with Safe and Secure Tennessee. It is both like the framework of it, and the caregiver package is designed to support families and caregivers to help the kids, right? But also they've expanded what they're doing to help support organizations and to integrate this into organizational culture. So as a partner with TCU's, it's the Care and Purpose Institute for Child Development, KPICD, I don't think I'll say that acronym again, but there's a lot of acronyms around here. Their mission is to bring hope and healing to vulnerable children worldwide. So I think we're all probably in that same boat, trying to help support them. And as an ambassador organization, we're one of 7 in the country that is allowed to utilize TBRI as the work, go and teach it, adapt it, support other organizations in using it across the state of Tennessee. And the goal is to cultivate a TBRI culture within the organization. So again, thinking about how does this look when you're a family at work? I know for our organization, which was basically built up from the TBRI concepts to start with, so we're kind of special that way. But just this idea of being a family and working together and supporting each other and meeting needs and understanding what's going on, that was what I started to experience when I started working with, at the time it was the clinic 6 years ago as a counselor, and just building that culture to feel like you're supporting each other, feel like you have connection, feel like your needs get met when you make mistakes, right? You think about all those principles that we're trying to teach to build resilience in the kids. We want to do the same thing in an organizational culture so that we are supporting each other and can actually sustain the work that we're doing. Ultimately, of course, we want to be influencing the systems of care and practice. So I am by training a school psychologist, so systems are very important to me. So I've always been looking at what do we do for the system? How do we support the school system? How do we support the community itself? So a lot of that kind of feeds into how we designed our Safe and Secure program. So we have 4 main areas that we focus on through Safe and Secure. Again, we think about our goals, training to provide the education and knowledge base, right? So we do online and in-person training. It is for both professionals and caregivers. It is primarily and heavily based on the TBRI caregiver package, which is the one that's vetted and approved. But we, incorporate lots of other things based on what's needed for like a specific organizational training. We might adapt to meet their needs. Organizational coaching is that next piece, right? How do you actually implement this in the organization? How do we do that? What do we look at? We talked about policies and procedures, right? So Shelby County Schools. It was Memphis City Schools when I started over there, so long time. Still getting there, right? Name's changing. But recognizing that those policies and those procedures are so important to foundationally setting the stage for how you're going to operate as an organization and supporting them. So Safe and Secure is supporting those organizations in looking at that, looking at what are those services they're providing, what are the ways that you are working together as an organization. How do you handle a grievance in your organization? How do you express your needs and get those needs met? How do you address problems that do come up? All of those things that are clearly a part of all organizational culture. How do we integrate what we know is good relationship-based practice so that we can all feel like our needs are being met and stay in it, and because it's all hard, right? Going back to what we're doing is so hard. So, doing that, we've been doing actually both of those things for about the training for about 10 years. We maybe longer. I'm looking at Mo. He's been doing it a lot longer. Probably closer to 15. Is that right? Okay. It's about 15 years we've been doing training. And I came on about 6 years ago and started helping with the local trainings and now expanding and doing the organizational coaching as well in the past couple of years. But we wanted to kind of get it a little more organized, help it be more collaborative in nature and community focused. So when we launched the Safe and Secure program about 1.5 years ago, we said, how do we actually build this out in a way that is replicable, right? So thinking about how do we support the entire state by doing this? How do we build this out? So we started in Shelby with community collectives. I'm going to tell you more about that. And so a collective is like a group of organizations that come together. We have this shared goal of promoting trauma-informed care, right? And we provide them that support and allow them to work with each other. Very similar to what we're doing here now of like, let's find out what you're doing, what's working, how is it working, let's learn from each other. One of y'all said earlier, oh, you was you about the schools and the Y Care after school. And I was like, oh, we work with the YMCA. I wonder if they would be interested in doing that. So we work with them and coach them and provide them support. I was like, oh, that could be cool. Maybe there's something. Again, I know that they look at me like, what? It's like 10 years from now, promise. Like, I won't do this tomorrow. But just to see, we want to make sure they know what everybody's doing locally so they can support each other, lean on each other, and not feel so isolated. Because it can feel isolating when you do this work and it goes against a lot of what's been done in the past, right? It's kind of a new way. all of the gentle parenting and support work that we do. So the fourth thing that we do are what we call special projects. So last year we worked with the Tennessee Department of Children's Services Office of Training and Professional Development and supported them, and we've helped build up their training team. We've helped them become TBRI practitioners. So there is a training that is like 9 weeks of like homework and prep work, and then you go for a week of training to become a TBRI practitioner. So very intensive work. And so we brought 5 new ones last year. There'll be 4 more over this next year for the DCS trainers. They've integrated it into their 10 key programming, so that was already done. And so we're continuing to support them both at the state level and at the local level in trying to help start integrating TBRI into what they do, right? So that's kind of our Shelby County special project that we started last year, and we'll continue this year in supporting that work as we move forward. Last year, we had 10 organizations from multiple sectors. So schools, child welfare, juvenile justice, like all across the board, healthcare, that were, whether they were part of the collective or would come in for just like a meeting and showed interest. We've kind of hit all around, but a lot of our places last year for Shelby were focused on school. And these organizations participated in all aspects of what we considered the collective. So it was the training, they had an individual or 2 from their organization become a practitioner because we wanted to build the internal capacity for sustainability. If they have to rely on us to do all the training forever, I will be too busy and I will never have a life. So nor could I actually say yes to everybody. So we're not going to do that. We want to build the internal capacity. So they all had a practitioner trained, and then we helped coach them in the planning of implementation. So we had coaching meetings and helped them do that work. And then they participated in the collective meetings where they could support each other. Okay, so that's what we did last year. And then we were so excited because we wanted to expand. We knew we wanted to expand. We didn't know we wanted to expand so quickly, but turns out we really did. And we were blessed to have the Building Strong Brains grant that really focuses on expanding the collective. So it does support really all of the work that I'm talking about, but the main focus of this expansion is to, number one, we want to support the training. So we actually doubled the amount of online training that we're offering. So these are offered through Eventbrite, and there's 2 per month, fall, and we'll do 2 a month in the spring, where we talk about the impacts of trauma and then the components of TBRI, which are empowering, which has to do with meeting physical and environmental needs, connecting, which has to do with the relational needs and also understanding yourself and what you're bringing to the table, and then correcting, which has to do with both proactive and responsive strategies of addressing not just problem behavior, because a lot of times that's what we think of, right? There's challenges and we want to address that, but preventatively, we want to also support them and help teach them those life skills, those SELs, to know what they need to do, right? And help them understand on the front end, so we don't have to always do the correction responsively. So we'll have those. These are open to everyone in the state, so I hope you're interested. Please, join us. The first 2 are already posted. So we had our first one on Monday. Trauma-informed practices is going to be an overview of TBRI. They're $10 a person for the 2-hour class. We also, as part of the collective, so for those organizations that join us and they say, we're committed, we're going to be with you, they get access to all of these for free for all of their staff and families. So as a just kind of random person, you want to get the knowledge, that's one thing, but when you join us and we're walking alongside you and supporting you, you get this as part of that work. One of the things we did when we decided to expand, we realized we needed to really identify kind of the different organizational types and where they were at and how much support they had and where they were going. So for those organizations that are just participating, we're considering those to be safe and secure members. So they join the collective, they go to meetings, they can attend the trainings, and they're just sort of exploring what it means to be TBRI informed and to start doing this kind of work internally. Those who participate in a full set of training, they have a practitioner on staff, so they're implementing a plan in their organization. They attend 6 coaching sessions. Again, they're really going at it, right? After they've completed that, they can become safe and secure certified. So just this distinction of, okay, we can say they've now completed this, done this work, and are continuing to do this. We know that that's what's happening here. And then for those organizations who have done significant work already, so some of ours from last year would theoretically meet this criteria, but we also had 2 organizations in the state that had been doing a lot of this work previously. So organizations that really have embraced TBRI, it is a huge part of everything that they do, can be a safe and secure champion, and we'll have one of those in a community that will then lead the collective in that community. So let me see okay, so we do, let me go back. So we are extending and doing more work in Shelby. Basically, we're just continuing the work that we've been doing with a little more intensity. We're doing more one-on-one coaching rather than kind of grouping them. And we've increased our number of collective meetings based on the grant funding. We had 4 new organizations come to our first meeting last week, so that was exciting. And again, it was our first one, so we're just now trying to kind of build that up and bring them in. And then, like I said before, we'll continue our work with DCS and child welfare. Also through a partnership with the Karen Purvis Institute. They have some money from, a lot of money from SAMHSA to do some work at building resources for child welfare and juvenile justice. So that's kind of our special project that we're working on this year with them. And then we said, okay, there are these 2 amazing organizations that are in the state of Tennessee that are already, they have TBRI practitioners. They are teaching TBRI, running caregiver trainings already, and they wanted to do some work with us. And lo and behold, at the same time, this BSB grant was coming across our desk, and we're like, oh, they want us to collaborate, and we have these people who want to collaborate with us. This sounds like a really good idea. So, we figured it out. We tried it and it worked. And basically Foster 180, who is in Wilson County, is providing they've got about 15 organizations. They have a very diverse group that they've already been meeting with, again, before they became a champion organization, before they jumped into truly being safe and secure, aligned. They were already doing this work and had built relationships with a lot of organizations. The courts are a big part, the schools are a big part. They've got a couple mental health centers that they're working with. I know I'm forgetting some. There's 15 organizations. It's across all the sectors, right? Their special project that we're supporting them with this year is working on the courthouse. And there's, I haven't seen it yet. I'm excited to go see kind of what's happening, and I think they're already remodeling, so there's some work that gets to be done with that. But helping to provide a safe space, so knowing felt safety is a really key concept, especially when you're waiting for your trial or court that's going to be extremely stressful. At this time, there's a lot of you're in the same little lobby area with everybody who's going to be there, and that does not feel safe. So we're going to be working with them to try to create a room where kids can feel safe, where the families can be, and kind of have that safe space. And we're also going to create what we're calling nurture kits. So kind of a set of materials that can be utilized that build on some of those social emotional skills, help create felt safety. If y'all have seen me at all today, I'm a fidgeter. Y'all see me moving my hands, I fidget. I love this little thing. I play with it all the time, wanting to make sure that they have those sorts of things available to them. Again, this is kind of in the beginning stages. We haven't built it out yet. We might even expand it to things they can take home with them and that kind of stuff. But that's part of what we're doing there. Orphan Wise is an organization in Bradley County, and they serve Polk and Bradley counties. And they have 5 organizations that have formally joined their collective, but they've got a number of others that they're still working with and working very closely with. They also wanted to focus on the juvenile justice system and the courts, and so we're going to help them build out a youth advocate mentoring program. So again, for those who are coming through foster care and adoption and going through the courts, we're going to build up a team of youth advocates who can then support those families and those kids through that journey. And again, similarly, have some nurture kits. Again, having some tangible things that families can have, that these advocates can take with them, that's, you know, literally in a box. When I was a school psychologist going from school to school, you lived out of your car and you had to bring everything with you. And so the concept of having something that's portable and transferable, if you will, like that can just go along and make it accessible is going to be really important for these workers to have. How we support them is very similar to how we support all the organizations we worked with in the collective in the first year. We'll have coaching calls, although it's much more intensive for these champion organizations because they are now leaders and they are leading their community. So we support them with coaching, training, helping them make decisions about some of their planning, and they want to do a meeting, and helping them even with just basic resources and development pieces that as smaller organizations, they don't have the capacity to do, but we already did it. So we want to share what we have and help support them as they move forward. Okay, I think that was most of it. There's just a few places. I didn't put my name up here. I don't know why I didn't put my name and contact information, but you can go to our website. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, for Safe and Secure Tennessee. You can also, our Empowered to Connect program has a podcast. It's amazing, y'all. JD Wilson is our host. He's so fun. And we have a YouTube channel that also gives you access to lots and lots of videos that are both TBRI and Empowered to Connect. That's really helpful. Okay. Did I do good on time? I'm also a really fast talker when I think I need to go fast. Questions? Okay. Oh, hi.
It's not a question, but I just have to tell you, I listened to you while I was getting ready this morning, and I'm like, wait a second.
Me?
Yeah, I'm a podcast.
Oh.
And I'm like, wait a second, why that voice sounds so familiar? And then,
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm being girl.
Oh, I've never had that happen. That's so cool. Thanks.
Will you repeat that for the online people?
Yes. Was that Mindy? What's your name?
Mindy.
Mindy. Mindy was just saying that she was listening to our podcast this morning, and apparently it was one that I was on recently. And so now she's fangirling. I love this. Now we're besties. Do you also live in the Memphis, Collierville area?
I'm new in the area, but I am a TBRI practitioner.
Oh, and a TBRI practitioner. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay. Anyone else? We hungry? I'm hungry.
Me too.
All right, thank y'all.
All right, friends, loved ones, family, watch parties. I'm going to mute us here in Nashville. Enjoy your pizza, and we will see you guys. Let's come back at 12:40, which means I'm giving you like a 5-minute leeway. We'll really start at 12:45, but aim for 12:40 in your brains, okay? But Nashville, hang with me for 22 seconds, okay?
On CBS. Now, the number of Trump co-defendants who found themselves in is growing in Fulton County, Georgia. The former president is expected to turn himself in tomorrow in connection with alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election results there in the Peach State. The 18 co-defendants until Friday at noon to surrender. The law was very much already done so.
Hey, watch party friends, we're coming back to you in about 5 minutes. right, friends and loved ones. We're going to get this party kicked back into gear. Thank you all at our watch parties. We're so glad you're there, and I hope you enjoyed your lunch. Some of you Eastern time folks may have started eating lunch a little earlier, so I hope you enjoyed. And to our Nashville folks, thank you for your patience with our lunch. It's the first time I've ordered big from them, so I'm learning. More salad, less cowbell. I'm just kidding. More salad. And maybe not as many vegan, although I know that you were probably not eating the vegan pizza, trying to be nice to the vegans in the room. And so if you want some, there's still plenty to go back there. So feel free to help yourselves. We're going to get kicked back in. Do you want to do this or do you want me to? We did have a request to know who's in the room. Richard and I made an executive decision earlier that we are reversing currently. So we're going to give you each in this room. And then, well, let me figure out if we can do that with our watch parties. Maybe you guys can unmute and just kind of tell us in general who is there, has been there. But you kind of asked for knowing who else is in the room. And so we want to give you the opportunity, but you only have about 5 seconds each. This is your warning, loves. Okay?
All right. So we will follow Melissa's expectation of just a couple of seconds. So I will start with Corey in the back left corner because he's still chewing and want to put him on the spot. And then we'll work our way across.
Hi, Corey Bradfield, UCY. My title can be set in 5 seconds.
Corey Bradfield with the commission. Elizabeth.
Elizabeth Reed, Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
Awesome. Elizabeth Reed with mental health. Carrie.
Carrie Virgo with Department of Mental Health.
Carrie Virgo with mental health. Russette.
Margaret Mabry with TCCY, and I currently serve as ombudsman.
Russette with commission as ombudsman.
Keena Friday Gilbert, AIM High, Tennessee.
Tell me your. Keena, I knew that. Keena Gilbert with AIM High, Tennessee.
Kristen Dunn with AIM High, Tennessee.
Kristen Dunn with AIM High, Tennessee.
Anna Earth with Allied Behavioral Health.
Anna with Allied Behavioral Health Solutions.
Robin Price with the Family Center.
Robin Price with the Family Center.
Lori Hoffman with the Family Center.
Lori Hoffman with the Family Center. The one, the only legend, Dr. Alpha Stewart with UT Health Science Center, and a million other responsibilities as well. You know, not to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself.
No, it's okay, I was chewing.
Okay, we'll move here. Yes, ma'am. With Hope Nelson with MDC. Karen Pershing, Metro Drug Commission.
Sharon Moore, Metro Drug Commission.
Ms. Moore with Metro Drug Commission. Chewing again.
Rachel Peterman with ETC.
Rachel Peterson with ETC. I'm horrible with acronyms.
Stephanie Davidson with ETC.
Stephanie Davidson with ETC.
Mark Ottinger with Power to Connect.
Mark Ottinger with Power to Connect. Taylor Shelby with Centerstone.
Catherine Bell, AIM High, Tennessee.
Catherine Bell, AIM High, Tennessee. Again, the ultimate legendary.
Allison Peak with Allied Behavioral Health.
Allison Peak with Allied Behavioral Health.
Serena Wilson with DCS.
Serena Wilson with DCS. We'll start in the back.
Krista Still, Department of Ed.
Christy Sill with the Department of Education.
Ruth Weissman with Tennessee CAC.
Ruth Wiseman with Tennessee CAC.
Lynn Farah, Tennessee CASA.
Lynn Farah with Tennessee CASA Association.
Kathy Probst, Loudoun County Schools.
Kathy Probst with Loudoun County Schools.
Katie Ryan, Loudoun County Schools.
Kate with Loudoun County Schools. Sarah with Vanderbilt Children's. Dr. Angela Miller coming back to us with the Department of Health. Dusty Cantrell with UT Swartz Relative Caregiver Program, and we'll take a step back. Andy Day with Andy Kennedy. Yeah, I love it. I'm old and deaf, y'all. I'm sorry. And tell me with who? The Cheatham Coalition. Emily with West Tennessee Healthcare. Katie Myers with West Tennessee Healthcare. Let's start by Mindy Kaiser with Omni Family Institute.
Leslie Graff, Omni Community Health.
Leslie with Omni Community Health.
Leanne with Omni.
Leanne with Omni.
Gwen with Omni.
Gwen with Omni.
Eli Foster, Metro Nashville Public Schools.
Eli Foster with Metro Nashville Public Schools. The legendary Mary Cernabori.
Metro Nashville Public Schools.
Mary Cernabori with Metro Nashville Public Schools and was in the first cohort of BSB grantees, and just amazing work.
And sustainability can happen, y'all. It can. We're sustaining.
Sustainability can happen. We're going to put that in quotes on something. Jared
Elsey, Nurture the Next, and ACE Nashville.
Jared Elsey, Nurture the Next.
Kylan Hadley, Metro Public Health Department, Metro Nashville Public Health Department, and ACE Nashville.
Kylan Hadley, Metro Nashville Public Health Department and ACE Nashville.
Amy Jordan with Volunteer Behavioral Health School-Based Services.
Amy Jordan with Volunteer Behavioral Health School-Based Services.
Wally Dixon, ETSU Ballot Health Strong Brain Institute, and also the Tennessee Department of Health Tennessee Trauma-Informed Workplace Recognition Program.
Dr. Wally Dixon with the Strong Brain Institute at TSU and partner with Department of Health. Title again, Trauma-Informed Workplace Recognition Program. Oh, you guys are testing me.
Colette Parks with Memphis Shelby County School District.
Colette Parks with Memphis Shelby County School District.
Jen Trail, Tennessee Department of Health.
The amazing Jen Trail with Tennessee Department of Health.
Hannah Diven, Tennessee Department of Health.
The equally amazing Hannah Diven with the Department of Health. Chris Monahan with Omni Family Services. Now, Melissa gave me some instructions to do something in the watch parties, and I'm not sure I'm technologically advanced or savvy enough, so I'm going to ask for some help with this.
You're all good. I know our Knoxville people want to talk to us, so I'm going to, or you guys can unmute yourself.
Hey,
I'm
Knoxville.
unmuted.
Hey, Knoxville.
Hello, can you hear us?
We can indeed.
Okay, great. I'm sitting down. So Rob Burke on children and youth.
Hey, Rob, we can barely hear you.
What if I move closer?
So much better.
Okay, great. Sorry if you see just side of my head. Rob Burke, Tennessee Commission on Children and Youth. Lindsay Cody with the commission. Sylvia Calzadilla with the Tennessee Health Care Campaign. Gina Bird with Knoxville City Schools. Amy Blackwell, Tennessee Voices. Arlene Radcliffe with the Douglas Cherokee Head Start. Miriam Dolan with Catholic Charity. Keith Bailey with Harmony. And Shannon Dow with McNabb.
Great. Thank you, Rob, and thank you, Knoxville folks. We appreciate you taking the time to be in the room with us. Any other watch parties want to introduce yourself or make comments?
You're good. We'll just let it be. There's been about 40 people online as well, so we're super glad that you guys are with us.
Great. Well, thank you all so much, and thank you for being back timely from lunch. We hope you found lunch to be as good as I love Slim and Husky. So if you did, it was all my decision. If you didn't, it was all Melissa's decision. So you can take it up with her. So we'll pass back to Serena, our friend and partner at the Department of Children's Services, to lead us through the rest of the presentations. Serena.
Well, Richard gets credit because I love Slim and Huskies. If you get a chance to go to one of their restaurants, highly recommended. Local food, minority owned, important to support. All right. Well, after lunch, we're excited, and I talked with some people during the break, and I hear so many connections being made, so many ideas being shared. So I feel like this time that we have spent together is so valuable and so helpful, especially as we launch our work together in the ACES Innovation Grant. So, and we'll continue that excitement with Aim High Tennessee. And with Aim High Tennessee, we have Kristen Dunn and Angela Webster to present. Yeah, we can give them a round of applause. Absolutely. And so it's been infant mental health and perinatal mental health has been on the cutting edge, and I keep learning more about it, and I continue to learn more. And these are some of our change leaders. So welcome and thank you. If you go down, it'll go forward. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so if anyone knows Aim High, you know that I am not Angela Webster. You're fine. No, Angela is joining us virtually today. She is traveling with her family and about to take a very much needed vacation. So I am Keena Friday Gilbert. I serve as Chief Program Officer for Aim High, and I'm here with our Director of Systems Advancement, Kristen Dunn, not Christmas Dunn. So if you're not familiar with Aim High, we provide support for professionals throughout the state of Tennessee, working with children ages 0 through 6. We provide training, we provide resources and advocacy to foster early relational health for our children, families, and the communities in which they live. We offer a lot of programs, but I know our time is limited today, so I'm not going to go through all of that. But we do know, because I've heard all of your presentations today, that children thrive when they experience consistent, nurturing, and secure relationships with the adults in their lives, and that includes the professionals that are also in their lives. And so our programs are really focused on that relationship-based work, and so you're going to hear that in the different projects and programs that we're going to be able to offer because of this grant. So this project focuses on child welfare and foster families. Excuse me, the pizza is caught up in my throat, but I do like it, Richard. So we are grateful for this opportunity. Personally, for me, I worked in child welfare for the first 15 years of my career. So I understand the difficult work that our child welfare professionals are doing in our foster families, and having to hold some really difficult, traumatic events and situations for our babies in Tennessee. So Kristen's going to kick it off and talk about our project.
How does this work?
Down.
Okay. All right. Technology and I are not friends, so I just have to ask.
So with the innovation grant, we are going to do a project called Supporting Training and Reflection for Early Childcare Systems, with a very intentional focus of our colleagues in child welfare and our foster parents. And what we hope in this process is to help deepen and support the knowledge of our professionals and foster parents around infant and early childhood mental health and early relational health. We hope that this will help with sustainability placement. We hope this will help with burnout, and also continuing to hold those social emotional needs of our young children that are in the system and the providers that are supporting them. So we have multiple programs that we will be bringing to this project that will be offered. So the first one is endorsement, and many of you guys, if you have ever been in a conversation with Aim High Tennessee, you've heard about our endorsement credential. Endorsement is a culturally sensitive, competency-based pathway for professionals, foster parents, and even child advocates that are really interested in understanding the relational needs of infants and toddlers and young children in Tennessee. And so this process looks at education, work, training experience, and even reflective practice to help take that professional or that person that is involved with infants and toddlers and deepen their knowledge and holding them in relationships. What we have seen is that many professionals in Tennessee, especially when we rolled it out a few years ago, that they were like, this is what I've been talking about. I've been saying this is the thing, and here it is. And so it helps professionals continue to their education and deepening their knowledge around infant early childhood mental health and the relationship-based practices. So in this project, we hope to be able to provide cohorts for our child welfare professionals and foster parents in supporting them in their journey to endorsement. That will include anything from workshops on how the application process goes. Many times when people start, it feels a little overwhelming to collect all your work experience, all your training, all those things into one place. But we always say once you start, you realize how much you have really done in your years of work. It will also provide one-on-one coaching to individuals that are looking and seeking to be endorsed. Our next project with this is going to be reflective practice spaces. Now, many of you may have heard of reflective supervision or reflective consultation. For those that may not have heard of it, here's how I like to explain it. We have all been trained in different models, different practices. We all have our interagency checklist and paperwork and meetings that we have to go to. Reflection is a time to pause that and really be curious about the experience of the work and what you are bringing to the relationship and what the child or family or professional you're working with is bringing to the relationship. So it's a very intentional time where you sit with a reflective consultant and you are curious, you wonder, you set off all of the models, all of the administration stuff off to the side, and you really think about how is this impacting the baby? Or what is that mom going through? Or what am I bringing to the relationship that's having a positive impact or maybe not so great impact? And it gives that time of curiosity, thinking, to really enrich the experience and the services that we are providing for children and families. So we hope to provide an opportunity for our child welfare professionals and foster parents to experience reflection. So we will be holding these reflective spaces once a month, and people can come and join. They can learn about reflection, ask questions that they might have about reflection, and then also experience someone being reflective with them. Next thing, it's one of our favorite things we like to talk about, is facilitating attuned interactions, or better known as FAN. And you may hear many of us that have gone through it. If you have gone through FAN, you're a big fan of FAN. Facilitating attuned interactions is a framework of what I like to say engagement with an individual. It's really sitting in a space with families, children, even professionals. They have found that FAN is great in any relationship, but it really takes time to slow down and know where you're at in that relationship when you're going into that conversation, going into that home visit, going into that meeting, and then how you hold that space. So we think about, what are the feelings that's happening? We think about, are we ready to go into problem solving, or do we need to hang out in feelings a little bit longer? And so this project is a 2-day training. We will be holding 3 of those across Tennessee. And so we'll have registration and all of that available coming out soon. And we usually what we'll do is we'll go deeper into each one of these wedges that you see in this chart above. My friend Keena next.
Okay, so we will also offer mental health first aid. And so our plan here, if you're familiar with mental health first aid, the curriculum typically, I can say that word, typically supports adolescents and adults, but there is not a lot of support around that 0 to 8. So we will look at developing a curriculum to support child welfare professionals and foster parents in becoming aware, recognizing, responding to and supporting our children 0 to 8. We know that our children in foster care, in state custody, they can have multiple placements. They have a lot of different traumatic events that may happen to them. They may have deaths of family members. So when we're being able to recognize these mental health concerns, these behaviors that the children may exhibit, the mental health first aid curriculum will help them to be able to recognize that and respond to it. This will be available on our training platform, so it's not something they have to drive to. They can log in at their convenience and be able to take these curriculums. It's going to be dual track. It'll be one for child welfare professionals and one for foster families. AIM High Tennessee has an emergency preparedness program. We have collaboratively been able to develop toolkits for early childhood educators and most recently for home visitors. And so with this grant, we will be able to provide an addition for child welfare professionals and foster families. The emergency response toolkits help support our professionals in being able to prepare, respond, and recover during natural disasters such as floods and tornadoes and different weather events that we know happen in Tennessee, floods and things like that. Also with the death of a loved one, and we know that our children in state custody often experience that, and then acts of community violence. We were able to, Katie Woodard leads our emergency response team. We were able to support professionals in an early childhood setting with the Nashville shooting and things like that. So we want to be able to provide that for child welfare professionals. It also will provide supportive language to navigate those conversations. Those are tough conversations to have when you have to tell a child that their parent may have passed, or if they're just going through a difficult situation about community violence. So it provides support for them on how to talk through those difficult conversations. There are a lot of in-practice guides for them as well. And there will be trainings on how to use the toolkit for the professionals as well. Then we have the Infant and Early Childhood Mental Health Consultation Warm Line. And so the Warm Line will be a way for child welfare professionals and foster parents to connect to an infant and early childhood mental health clinician to really talk through those cases. So we talked about reflective practice, reflective supervision earlier, but this is kind of like in the moment you may be having a child exhibiting some difficult behaviors, or you just unable to connect or build that relationship with the child that you may have on your caseload. So they can call into a clinician, infant or early childhood mental health clinician, talk through that case with them. They're going to help them to think through some alternative perspectives, like what might be going on with this child who is, infant or young child. Also being able to connect to community-based resources. So there's that referral and being able to get them connected to the needs that they have for that child and for that professional. And so that we will be rolling that out as well. And it's just a way for professionals to be able to feel that they are more competent, for lack of a better word, and being able to serve children, infants and young children.
We're zipping through this fast. The pizza's giving us energy, Richard. One of our last programs we want to talk about that will be part of this project is the acronym of HOPE. And that is healthy outcomes with positive experiences. This is an initiative that we're doing in partnership with Centerstone friends over here, that really focuses on the next piece to adverse childhood experiences. So we've all heard about this. We're all big fans. Many of us are trainers in this space. And the HOPE framework is a piece that really talks about supporting the resilience. How do we grow resilience? How do we support resilience in young children? And how do we help the caregivers and the adults in their lives build that resilience? And so it's based on these 4 pillars. When we talk about the relationships, we talk about the relationships between adults and children with children, because those friendships matter. Y'all all can probably think of that one person, whether an adult or a childhood friend, that what we say loved you into being. That builds resilience. When we think about environments that are safe, secure, and equitable, we're talking about environments where families have access to health care so that they can thrive physically. We have safe parks where kids can go and explore their abilities to climb, to run, to make friendships, to problem solve. And so the safe, equitable environments help build resilience. When we talk about civic duty or civic responsibility or connections, that creates a sense of belonging, creates a sense of meaning in their communities. When we know we have a purpose, when we know we have a place to give and serve, it helps us feel a part of it, and that builds resilience. And lastly, a place for emotions, where emotions can be felt, explored in a safe way, and expressed so we feel seen and heard, and that also builds resilience. The HOPE framework is built on positive science, the science of positive, meaning that we know that positive makes a difference, and looking at those protective factors in the community that builds that positivity, that positive outcomes for our community. And so with this project, what we hope to do is we have 3 ambassador corps that we will have throughout the year, where we will engage with foster parents to come and go through a first 90-minute training, and then after that have 2 2-hour connections to really talk about how these 4 pillars go into action when we're working with young children. After that, we will also have support groups where they can come back and say, hey, I'm trying this, or I'm curious about this, try this out, what does this look like? And really hoping to support our foster care parents in this tool of building resilience with the children that they're holding. So that is what our hope is with that one, with HOPE. I feel like we are very hopeful that, Richard, when you said, what's the thing we want to take away today? We have a lot of hope in the room. I think that's a beautiful thing. All right, so we want to say thank you because we are partnering with many. At Aim High Tennessee, we strongly believe that we cannot do this work alone. It takes a village. And so our partners in this project is Ally Behavioral Health, and they will be supporting a lot of the work around FAN, reflective practice. And then also we'll be partnering with Centerstone, who will be helping us facilitate the Hope Ambassador Corps groups and holding true to the model of that practice. And then the Line Hope Agency is the governing body of the Hope curriculum. So we're working with them to build out some webinar modules as well. Forgot to mention that earlier, that will be available, accessible online to our professionals and foster parents. Any questions? All right, thank you guys.
All right, that is fantastic. And I love that Kristen identified our big takeaway today as hope. I've heard it all across the room, and I know that it is so important for all of us, no matter at what point you're at. No, you know, even if you're the happiest or or coming from a hard place, hope is important. So that's a great theme for today. And with that, we have our friends from Loudoun County School Systems who have implemented hope in their systems. And I was really excited to hear about it when we met, and I know that you'll be excited as well. Please welcome Kathy Proups and Kate Gallen. Thank you.
Okay, is the camera all right? Whoever's got the computer that sees it. Just want to make sure it's not like my eyebrows or something. Yes, yes. So I'm Kate Gallion. I'm from Loudoun County Schools, Coordinated School Health, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Kathy Probst from Loudoun County. I'm her assistant and her mom.
Yes, yes, yeah, I'm gonna try. I come from an education background, so I'm usually
walking
all around. So okay, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna like have to hold on to the podium so I won't leave. But yeah, it's a fun role reverse here because now I'm her boss. And it's, you know, payback. But so we are with Coordinated School Help in Loudoun County Schools. And so just a quick thing about us is that we have 9 schools. We have a mix of some schools that are kind of in a bigger, becoming more like a little mini Knoxville, to other schools that don't even have service anywhere, like cell phone service around them, and you've got to drive 35 minutes to get to a gas station. So we're an interesting mix of schools. We have 3 that are trauma informed, and that is just by the Building Strong Brains cohorts. If you walk into some of our other schools that technically don't have that designation, you're going to see a lot of the same work though. So 3 technical, but growing. And we have 5,100 students, and that's growing very rapidly. We're getting a new school in a couple years. So our mental health team that we have, our special education supervisor, coordinated school help, our safety director, and those conversations are external safety as well as internal safety and threat assessments. Our family resource center, our school social work supervisor, 13 school counselors across my 9 schools, and then we have 5 full-time social workers in our school district, and those are ours. We started 2020 school year with 0, and we have grown to 5 full-time positions, and so we're very proud of that. And every year it's looked a little bit different because we've added a position and then sharing how that is going to look. And then coming soon, we will have a school-based mental health liaison from the McNabb Center. So that is in the works. They are doing the first round of interviews to find us someone to match well with the school, and then we'll be a part of that interview process. So this is our 3rd year of funding with DCS. And so our past 2 years that we've done, I wanted to kind of talk about some of those real quick because we're building off of what we've done in this new grant. So over the past 2 years, we did a community baby shower. I got some more details with that. We've done classroom calm kits. We've piloted SEL curriculums, different levels. We have trained all of our staff on ACEs, PACEs, and resiliency every year. It's part of our annual trainings. Anybody new? The only thing that I wrote down a note when you said like maintenance, I was like, we haven't done our maintenance, but we're about to. But our bus drivers, cafeteria, janitorial, teachers, aides, office, everybody, except for maintenance, and that's coming soon. And then we've also done the brain architecture game. We love that. We purchased some of that material through the grant and have implemented that into even some of the staff meetings that are going on throughout the year. We've done family mental health kits. I've got a picture of that in a minute. Calm corner items, community resource guide, and we have piloted best groups. Raise your hand if you've heard of best groups. Okay, a few. So best groups, it's out of Middle Tennessee, Cookeville, and it is small groups, and they have a K5 and then a 5 up, and it's kind of based off grief, but you do a screener to see where are those common struggles for our kiddos, and then you put all of them in a group and you do some group work. I think it's 8 weeks. Thanks, I've like almost knocked over my water a few times. And it's very neat. I'm like, we need to do it with staff too, because some of those activities are just really great activities. I had 5 counselors and social workers go to the training this past week, and all of them called me from Cookeville or sent me a message or an email and said, I cannot wait to get this started. We need some help with materials and whatnot, but they are just so excited to get that going. So best groups are, it's a really great and easy program. We piloted it at our high school last year, and the change that we saw in some of those students that were in those best groups. I mean, teachers that had worked with them before saying, I didn't even know this kid was in there, in that shell that they had put up. So our classroom calm kits. So the idea with this is that we wanted to have something to go into the classrooms that would help a student regulate or help or prevent them from getting to a de-escalation. And it could benefit all students, not just our ones that we know are carrying around some trauma. So what I did is we had a Google form, and it had all the different items, and we've grown even more items from what's in this first picture. And then the teachers could select what they wanted. So if I had someone that it's like, there's no way you're bringing sand into my classroom, they weren't going to miss out on a kit because there's sand in it. So they got to pick. If somebody clicking the little wacky tracks that's kind of there at the bottom of the picture is going to decrease the mental health of a teacher from hearing all those clicks, then they don't have to have that in their classroom. And then at the very bottom, you can see some of the information that we provide with each kit that talks about ACEs, and it talks about how to utilize these kits in their classrooms, how to use it discreetly, and just different ways they can incorporate it into their classroom. I have 675-ish staff, and we've had over 375 kits been requested. Here in a couple of weeks, we'll put out the Google form again and do another round, and I fully expect about 200 of those kits to put together. Our family mental health kits, this was a project that, you were talking about dreaming big. I dreamed big, and then the stuff started happening, and I bit off a little more than I could chew. And so what we did is we collected all of these resources, another Google form that went out to all of our families. It was blasted on social medias, parent letters, whatever, and any family could sign up for some of these items. And again, they selected what worked for them. So we had stuff with coping, we had stuff with stress, anxiety, depression, we had journals, all kinds of things. I didn't even know if I'd get 10, and we had 106 sign up. So it was 106 families, and it was about 150 kids that were impacted by those kits. I may have had some tears putting those suckers together. And you can see in that room, this is the classroom beside my office, of how we were putting those together. The community baby shower that we did, we had several partners on that. And we had 132 attendees from Monroe and Loudoun County. We had parenting classes at that. And of course, we had stuff on ACEs. We had Read With Me. I don't know, it was 2 summers ago, so now I don't exactly remember, but it was a great day. But we're not going to plan another baby shower for a few years because it was really big and it was a lot. It was very overwhelming.
It was a success, but it was overwhelming.
And everyone walked away with something. We had so many, we had diapers, we had car seats, we had all kinds of rattles and bibs, and I mean, everyone walked away with their hands full of stuff and some education. We are moving from that ACEs to PACEs mindset, and I like to think of what Josh Shipp said of every kid is only one caring adult away from being a success story. And so we're really helping our staff recognize that they are that one caring adult, and that they have the potential to be that success story for a kid. Okay, I'm gonna take a breath a second. So our goals, again, training is key for us with all of our staff being knowledgeable on this. And then also, what does that look like in classroom strategies? That's the number one thing we get from our teachers. Is when we take information to them, they want to know a strategy to go along with it. So that's what we partner up on that. And we are expanding our resources. So all of the stuff we piloted, we're expanding and growing in that area. And got some more things on expanding in a second. And then our community, we're sharing that information out to our community. We have a multimedia campaign planned. We're meeting with our Align 9 people, which is the 9th
Judicial.
That word.
District.
Yeah, I can't say that J word. It doesn't work. So our surrounding counties, they do a lot of work with billboards in the communities and radios. And so we're just going to plug some sound bites to her, and we're going to get some of that stuff out. Just trying to think if there was anything else. So here's our neighbors, our 9th.
Judicial.
Yeah.
That's why I'm up here.
Yeah. So if you want to talk about that.
Okay, one of the things when we were doing this and planning is so many of our partners, because we're kind of a small area outside of Knoxville, but it's still small counties, is they would work in 2 or 3 other counties. And so we partnered with them. And so it's going to be kind of like you throw a rock in a river and it just kind of grows. And so what we do in Loudoun County, they will be able to take to these neighboring counties. And, oh, it's not on here. Oh, well, anyway, I know. Like the health department, the director of our health department is also the director of the Monroe County Health Department. So there's that county that we're reaching into. Align 9 is the 9th Judicial District. So you've got several counties around Loudoun County that they reach. So there was another one. It doesn't matter.
We'll circle back to that thought.
Okay. Anyhow, maybe that was just it. Because the 9th Judicial District is Loudoun County, Roane County, Meigs County, Morgan County. So, and some of those are really, really rural counties. So this is an opportunity to spread some of this information and help the families in these communities. And so that was one of the reasons we have a lot of in-house partners and a lot of community partners, but we really targeted those that could go into other areas and take this information there. Okay, that's my part.
Thank you. And one thing I was looking back through my notes to see what I've already forgotten to say. One, our Family Resource Center does parenting classes. And so that is set up. I think she has it like every Tuesday evening, and partner with McNabb Center and a few others. So she hosts that. And again, it can be, because it's court ordered, or it could be that one of our students is struggling and they're with their social worker, and the social worker can say, hey, there's this class going on that could really benefit your family if you're interested, and it's free to the families. And the other thing I forgot to say is we also take care of our staff. A couple years, well, COVID, we came up with a mobile wellness room. And so it's the massage chairs, yoga, it's basically a calm corner for teachers and staff. And that is a very, very popular thing when we take it to the schools. And then I become very unpopular when I have to take it out of the schools to go to the next school building. It's a very sad day in that building. But we try to rotate those out to our schools as well.
And the administration, central office.
Yes,
Keep them
central
happy, too.
office has it too. No, I go back for it. I'm like, all right, it's time. You gotta switch it. And so one of the things I wanted to mention, and the font got weird here, but a really cool thing that we're planning to do this year is we're partnering with STAR, which is Shangri-La Therapeutic Academy of Writing. It's in Loudoun County. There's also one in Knox County. And they have some amazing programs there that I can't even begin to take credit for. We've just figured out that they have them, and now we're partnering and motioning our kids towards their program. So one of the things that we've got set up is we're going to do the Changing Strides program. And so the kids go out there. These are the ones that are at risk of some significant behaviors and decisions in their life. And so they'll be going out there. It's 8 weeks. And the STRIDE stands for something. I don't know what it stands for at the moment, but each week takes a letter. And the kids are out there with the horses, learning to take care of the horses, and learning some life skills and coping skills through that. They also have a Stable Friends program, and that's for the ones that have some anxiety and stress that they need to help manage and learn some coping skills. And it's a little bit more general. And again, I'm like, can we get this like for a staff level? Because I think we could all use it. But STAR does so much in our community. They have special needs individuals come out to connect with the horses and learn about the horses and learn how to ride in the appropriate care. They have a, just lost the word. Recovery.
Recovery. One thing about STARS, one thing about STARS also is that the kids will often talk to the horse and share things with the horse that they might not talk to a person about. And so they can really get some stuff out as they're petting the horse and grooming. And it really is very successful.
Yes. What was my word? Recovery. Yeah. So they also are set up with our court systems and recovery court. And so individuals that have a year of sobriety, there's some data that shows that there's a huge relapse between 16 and 18 months. And so this program helps get individuals, they have to have a year of sobriety, and then they go and the Aligning Strides program helps them get to 2 years of sobriety. So it's so much great work coming from this partner in our community. Our resilient schools, that's what our goal is here. We have 7 out of 9 of our schools that we're expanding, like SEL curriculum, second steps, character strong, positive action might be one. And so by the end of the year, I'm going to be saying 9 out of 9 of our schools have those programs. The other 2 just don't know that that's what's going to happen yet. And then our best groups, we're taking it from one school that we piloted to our 6 schools plus our alternative school. One of the things about our social worker that we have, every kid that comes in our alternative school program meets with our social worker. She comes 1 day a week and she's there the whole day to meet with those kids. And it's such a huge success there. Handle with Care. Raise your hand if you've heard Handle with Care. Oh, good. More than the best groups. So Handle with Care, if the police are involved in a situation that there's a kid, they send an alert to the school system, handle Kathy with Care. And that's all there is to it. So that is something that we are growing in our community, and very excited for it. It's one of those things that we don't want to receive the alert, but when we do want to handle that kid with care. And 2, the SROs can go in and have a positive experience with that kid because we don't know what negative experience they had with somebody in uniform. We have an SRO in all of our buildings too. Building up our calm corners, and And then she's also over extended learning in our district. And so we're growing our arts programs, art therapy, and some of those things so that we can implement that into those after-school care. And we know that a lot of our kids in after-school care are going to be ones that have some trauma that they got going on. And then, as I mentioned, our Family Resource Center with parenting classes. We will be working on our multimedia campaign. Oh, another thing I forgot, sorry y'all, is, and because we were working it out, I was getting text messages while we were doing this, that we're going to work with our Align 9 folks, and somebody mentioned it, I lost it, but the safe space in the courthouse.
Yes.
And that is one thing that we are doing. Our courthouse burned a few years ago. So court has been like hopping around in different places, but we're getting to that point where we're about to move back in to the building. And that's Loudon is the only courthouse in the Align 9 district that doesn't have a safe space. I was like, well, let's change that. So we'll be doing a safe space for our kiddos in our area at the courthouse. And we have community events. Our Prevention Alliance partner, they do a cardboard boat race and touch a truck event, and it's really fun because all the officers and firefighter in our community come out and act like hooligans, and it's just the greatest thing ever when you see somebody in a uniform. And again, maybe a kid hasn't had a great experience with someone in a uniform, but then when they see them put on a life vest and paddle with cardboard in the lake, or do a bounce house obstacle course, it really lightens up that individual in a uniform and builds our community. November, we're still working out some of our plans on that. And then in the spring, we're doing kites for kids. So every kid that comes will get a kite, and the family can go and play in the park and just be out there together and have a lot of community partners that can support these families.
Well, and that's one of the partners that I don't think, that's one of the partners I don't think we mentioned is our Parks and Rec. They are just super helpful to really put on any kind of event that we want to come up with.
Yes, a lot of times, if we're like, hey, you're like, yeah, sounds great. Let us know what day. I'm like, fabulous. So these are some of our partners. The Prevention Alliance is substance use, and they're a subcomponent of Align 9. And they serve Loudoun, Meigs, Roane, and Morgan County. Our Family Resource Center, STAR, our Sheriff's Department, and our Loudoun and Monroe County Health Departments. That's just our contact information and the, disclaimer of we don't discriminate. And I think that's it. Are there any questions for us? Yes.
Hi, thank you guys so much.
Good.
We're from the Department of Health, so it's awesome to see that y'all partner with your health departments.
One of our best partners.
Collaboration with your health council as well?
Yes.
We're on the council.
Yes, I am actually, she asked if we had any partnership with our health council. I'm actually the health council chair. And so we have been focusing on the community health needs assessment, and we have a planning session next month because we're almost at the end of August. So, of course, yes. Yes. Any other questions?
Did you repeat the question to the online folks before you?
I did, but I'll do it again, is that she asked about health council.
I was distracting myself.
Yes, yes, great. And we are just so excited for the opportunity. Like I said, the programs with STAR, I'm just over the moon about, and cannot wait to see the difference that makes in our kiddos' lives. So, thank you.
There are so many things to love about all the work happening. But I think with our partners in the school systems, I really appreciate that they're creating an environment of mental wellness for everyone. And this may be for at-risk children, but it can be just for everyone, whether it's the teacher or any student, so that is an actual culture shift and a culture change. And it reduces stigma to ask for help and to ask for a pause. And it places an emphasis on, that what we talk about in Building Strong Brains with the social, cognitive, and emotional abilities and how intertwined they are. So it's a huge contribution to the education system because that learning can happen if everyone's wellness is honored. So love, love, love our educators that are with us today. So next we have with us Allison Peak from Allied Behavioral Health, and I appreciate her. I know she's done some webinars for me in the past, and I will ask her to do them again for sure. So thank you, Allison. Oh, here it is.
Hi guys, it is lovely to be with you all this afternoon. And it's also, I'm going to echo, the pizza was a great option, so just tallying points on that. So I get the great opportunity to talk to you all today about the Tennessee First Five Training Institute. And one of the things that's really unique about me standing up here and talking to you all about this project is that, first of all, I just want to share my immense gratitude to the Department of Children's Services. This is our 5th year of funding on this project. And Allied's 6th continued year of Building Strong Brains Innovation Grants funding. So TFFTI really focuses around building clinical capacity for infant and early childhood mental health. We've talked a lot, there's been a lot of that verbiage go on today. The AIM High folks talked about that some. We've heard it some about in HOPE. We've heard a lot of references to babies. That we really do define infant and early childhood mental health as the ability to love well and grow well, and that infant and early childhood mental health services are all the things that support children and their caregivers to love well and grow well. So for the Tennessee First Five Training Institute, our mission is to build high-quality clinical workforce to provide dyadic infant and early childhood mental health services across Tennessee. And we believe that that vision is best realized when the support and development of clinicians is accompanied by the support and development of systems and leaders who embody infant and early childhood mental health core principles, reflective practice, and uphold fidelity to evidence-based models. So, we recognize that infant and early childhood mental health really has a continuum of care, that infant and early childhood mental health is a population-based intervention, and our workforce development seeks to train clinicians who are really focused on that top 10% of our kiddos. We are really looking to build clinical capacity statewide to address the roughly 10% of children who really are going to need intensive support. So, you'll find us down there on the other end of the arrow. We do always want to acknowledge and name our partners. We're really grateful to get to partner with folks across the state. They've been really integral in our continued ability to provide this over the last 4 years. And the program really is designed in 2 parallel cohorts. So the first cohort is the organizational leaders cohort. So each spring, organizations apply to participate. In their application, they must identify 2, we generally ask for C-suite leaders. We want people who have decision-making ability. And so to that, looking in this room, folks who have participated in that, I'm looking at Leanne over there from Omni. Centerstone's been a huge participant of ours over the years. A number of other folks statewide have really benefited from this process. And those organizational leaders get leadership training. They get support in considering how to embed infant and early childhood mental health in their systems so that everyone from the person who answers the phone to the clinician down the hallway knows what infant mental health is. They know the agency can provide it, and they know how to provide those referrals both externally and internally. Our clinical cohort are 3 to 4 clinicians who've been identified by those agencies, who then enter into a 12-month-long training program. It's 45 hours of continuing education and about 50 hours of reflective supervision. Reflective supervision is a specialized form of supervision and requires special training to provide. So to that, we tell everybody every year that this is the equivalent of our clinicians receiving 2nd master's degrees in work with young children and families. And they commit and they show up and they do the work and they take the cases and they welcome children and families and foster parents and bio parents and the DCS worker and the aunt who provided transportation and the stroller and the diaper bag all into their offices, and they sit and they hold space to provide hope and healing for our families. So in that, they get 7 evidence-based trainings, infant and early childhood mental health theory, reflective supervision and consultation. FAN, which we talked about, is also being built into the AIM High program. Y'all, I love the FAN. I could talk about the FAN for days. The DC 0 to 5, which is our diagnostic and classification manual for kids birth to 5. Our diversity tenets, which is helping our clinicians to consistently be aware of their own experience as individuals and the power and privilege and intersectionality that they bring with them to the experience of being clinicians. Diversity tenet number 1 is self-awareness leads to better services for children and families. We want our clinicians to be self-aware. Seed talked about wanting children to be self-aware, but if we as adults are not self-aware, we cannot parallel that for our kiddos, right? Child parent psychotherapy and infant and early childhood mental health in child welfare. So again, so many thanks to the Department of Children's Services for the number of years of funding. We've been able to engage 13 agencies throughout Tennessee, and we've supported about 135 clinicians to complete that highly intensive training track. That is an incredible growth in our workforce capacity. And I always also say that if I told you we had 135 clinicians to deal with suicidal ideation in the state, we'd all panic, and we should, right? And so having 135 infant and early childhood mental health clinicians is awesome, and we should still panic, right? It is simply not enough. So we've provided organizational perspective, planning, and implementation coaching across 8 biannual summits, and engaged in program evaluation on impact on clinical efficacy and organizational implementation. Richard earlier made a comment about funding evidence-based practices. We have statistically significant outcomes year over year, not only at the clinical level, but also at organizational and systems impact. That's really hard to do, y'all. So while we're very, very grateful, we do also want to acknowledge that our funding from DCS for our 5th cohort is limited. We are not fully funded. And so that's making cohort 5 real curious, because we've already selected our folks for cohort 5, and we're telling them we're getting started, and I have 1/3 of a budget. If anybody's ever been in that situation, thank you, thank you. Yeah, Rosette in the back was like, oof, yep, that's my day right now. So to that, if you would like to help us ensure the clinical workforce for young children and the availability for quality training, I'd love to chat. Please know, and I will get to be with you guys in the learning community in September, but it's also important to asterisk here that we started with sustainability. We've been working on sustainability for 4 years. So I do want to dispel the potential idea of, oh geez, they waited till the last minute. We did not. And again, are incredibly grateful to DCS that we are able to continue at least parts of the highly valuable work that we are doing. So again, DCS is funding 1/4 of what we need. The other 3/4 we're desperately trying to figure out. And there are asks out to the state right now, but the state is their own timeline, right? So again, if you believe that we could be a support to your program, if you believe there's a way that we could amplify the work that you are doing or to help meet a goal or deliverable in another sector of work you're doing, I'd love to talk. So to that, you got my contact information. You're also more than welcome. We partner with AIM High Tennessee on the overall dissemination of this project. Angela Webster's contact information is up there as well. Lovely to see you all. Thank you so much. I will hand this off.
Okay, and our final presenter for the day is from Jackson Madison County General Hospital, and we will hear from Emily Sane. Hi, Emily.
Hello.
Yes, and Resilient West Tennessee.
And it's the down button, right?
Yes, down button makes it go forward.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Emily Sane. I'm from Resilient West Tennessee, like she said, Jackson Madison County General Hospital. Right now I have my bachelor's in social work, currently working for my master's, so we'll get there. There you go. Okay. All right, so what is Resilient West Tennessee? This is a program that focuses on spreading ACEs awareness while concentrating on building resilience and PCEs. Resilient West Tennessee works closely with Healthy Families Southwest Tennessee. We actually share office space with them. Healthy Families Southwest Tennessee is a free and voluntary program that enrolls families prenatally or within 3 months of the child's birth, and also gives them a home visitor. The home visitors monitor the child's growth and development and conduct screenings to ensure milestones are met within appropriate timeframes, along with covering a variety of topics to encourage healthy relationships and to be additional support systems for the mother. Resilient West Tennessee comes in. That's where we offer the home visitors tools and stuff to help with the parents in building a relationship with their children, like in a serve and return aspect, and a lot of activities that I give out to them to help build that relationship between the children and their parents. So these are our cohorts. I work with several different people across Madison County and other counties in West Tennessee. I just talked about Healthy Families Tennessee with Hands Up. That is a preschool, and I go in and do a training for the teachers and the staff about ACEs, resilience, and PCEs. We work with Safe Baby Court, and we offer classes to the participants in Safe Baby Court. Carl Perkins, I go in and educate the community workers that Carl Perkins works with about ACEs, resilience, and PCEs. There's Chant, so I do a parenting class there. We do a rotation of parenting classes, and I'm one of them. The University of Tennessee at Martin social work program, I go in every year to a new class, and I teach the social work program about ACEs, resilience, and PCEs. And right now I'm trying to get into the University of Memphis at Lambeth and do the same thing. I've done it once. I'm trying to get in their rotation. And then with Aim High, everyone in our building is Aim High endorsed. One of the biggest partners that we have is Health Connect America. They have two groups that they have is a substance abuse program for adults and an IOP program for children with behavioral issues. So I go into both of those groups and I teach about ACEs, resilience, and PCEs. With the children's group, it's a little bit different, and I've tweaked that presentation to them to make it more their speed and their style. I'll talk about it later on. Then Aspel. Aspel is a residential, well, the residential house that I work with is for substance abuse as well. And I lost my spot. Sorry, y'all. So they're a residential program for people that are recovering from substance abuse, and I teach them the Building Strong Brains PowerPoint. And then I also do a Mother's Love, which is a part of Aspel, and they're designed to treat pregnant and postpartum women with substance abuse disorder. And so I also do the Building Strong Brains PowerPoint, but I break it down into 3 or 4 or 5 different sections, and just make it so they like really comprehend what's going on. But I also add a ton of activities for them to do with their babies that they've had while in the program. And these are the counties that we serve. We go all across West Tennessee. And I'm currently still trying to find more programs to go in and teach about ACEs and resilience and PCEs. And these are the populations. So the adolescents for the Health Connect America, and I'm still tweaking that program to try to find more adolescents to go to and talk about it. And then the community officials and the families and adults. So with the adult program, the adults that I mainly work with are in recovery homes or in intensive outpatient groups.
not to be confused with the community officials that I talked about earlier. As I'm going through the Building Strong Brains program, when it comes to the ACEs portion, I get them to do their ACEs score and figure out what their score is. And then although I know talking about ACEs, and especially if you've done the Building Strong Brains PowerPoint, you know that they have the list of statistics about your number. It's super depressing, especially when you're talking about to somebody that's in a substance abuse program. So I let them know that there is a bit of hope. There's that word again. Going to come on in that presentation. And our hope is the resilience. So I've also done a resilience survey. And when they get through that, I go, how do you feel now about your resilience score? And everybody's like, oh, I feel so much better. And that's the goal. So then I also encourage them to keep that resilience survey, because they can look at that and they go, what can I do to build my resilience in myself and my children and anybody that I come in contact with? The average ACEs score for the people that I talk to is 6, and that's from the last fiscal year. And then I also ask them through a post survey what they've learned and what they found most helpful. So what they've learned is that mental and physical health has a direct correlation to childhood trauma and the importance of building strong, healthy relationships in children. And what they found the most helpful is there is hope for people with high ACEs and how resilience helps the effects. The adolescent curriculum
is now exiting.
Oh, that scared me. Okay. So the adolescent curriculum, one of the things that I like to press with the adolescent group is a sense of belonging and how important it is to feel belonged in your group or with an adult. Okay, after we talk about the sense of belonging, I go, what are some characteristics of a person that makes you feel belonged? And we talk about the person and they go, what if I don't have a person? I'm like, okay, well, eventually, with hope, you're going to find a person that makes you feel belonged. So what are some characteristics that you want from them? And some of the main characteristics that they've listed are they want an active listener, somebody that's not going to sugarcoat, and someone that accepts the good and bad parts of them. Another thing that we talk about is triggers and coping skills, because I'm a full believer that coping skills go hand in hand with building resilience. So we talk about the importance of knowing what triggers you, and then coping skills to help with that. So some of the main coping skills they've listed are listening to music, walking, talking to someone, and drawing. And then we also talk about ACEs and resilience. We talk about resilience and the definition of and what it is, but one of the things that we also talk about is advancing despite adversity. And that's one of my definitions that I really like. It's learning the importance of building resilience while young so it can counterbalance the effects of ACEs. And then it also says we can build this before we're faced with situations that are traumatic events. So we can already have the resilience to kind of help us move forward. We do community outreach. So I'll go to all these different counties and go to community fairs and give out our information and resources and give flyers and things like that. I do group themed holidays. As you see, I'm Pooh up here. And I do the little things with kids, and then we do tons of activities that help with serve and return between the families and their children. That's it. Thank you. Yes, sorry.
What is the name of the resilience? Or can you send it to share?
I can share a copy. I do not have it off the top. Oh, I'm sorry. The name of the resilience questionnaire that I use. I can send a copy.
To me, Emily, I can put it in Facebook.
Okay.
Yes, that'd be great.
Okay. Any other questions? No. Okay. Good.
All right. Well, Serena, thank you so very much for guiding us through the presentations. I appreciate each of you who joined us today to take time to talk about your work. I think that for me, it's always fascinating, interesting, and a good reminder of the different needs across the state and all of the ways that you guys are working in your communities and having different nuances of the work, all working towards the same goals. So thank you so much for sharing those updates. want to, I know it's getting close to time, but as always, want to hold a little bit of space for any announcements that any of you would like to make about the work, upcoming events, upcoming learning opportunities, upcoming conferences, significant milestones that you want to share, anything at all.
There's the Rural Health Conferences in Knoxville in November, and their theme is Resilient Tennessee.
There is a rural health conference in Knoxville in October and November, and the theme is Resilient Tennessee. So this is the Rural Health Association of Tennessee conference. So if you're interested in that, certainly check out their website. They do great events and learning opportunities. So thank you for sharing that.
I think we may be PCCY as a sponsor.
Good. I'm glad we're sponsored. Yeah. Those are the things that we should be doing. And as long as we are not bankrupt or I'm not going to prison, I'm good. So, all right.
The next Resilient Tennessee is November 15th.
The next Resilient Tennessee meeting is November 15th.
More to come.
All right. Well, again, thank you all so very much for spending the day with us. I want to close out by asking or revisiting the centering ask that I had at the first, in that I hope whatever you decided you needed from this meeting, whether it was to learn something, share something, meet someone, or be inspired, I hope that we accomplish that. If we did not accomplish at least one of those, come talk with Melissa and me, and we will figure out what to do different going forward. But again, thank you all so very much. Safe travels back home. For those of you that joined us in the watch parties, thank you so much for your time, and safe travels for you all as well. Thank you.
For the presenters, our grantees, everybody wants a copy of your PowerPoints. If for some reason that is not okay, will you email me in the near future? If it is okay, you can be free, and I'll just pull it off of those cameras. I will summarize, I will not summarize, that is a lie. I will send you an email, all of us, that is on the mailing list. I'll send you the recording, and I'll send you the PowerPoints via constant contact email list. If you're not on it, I can get you there. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Serena. Thanks to all our watch party and online folks. You guys rock. Good job.